My narrativizing mind is very active.
It's this invisible frame of reference that you carry in your head.
Life presents all sorts of adversity, and some adversity doesn't feel like adversity. It's sneaky.
Could I interview you for my space gas?
What the hell is going on here?
You're gonna need a microphone, mister. Okay, we got an absolutely spontaneous occurrence, bringing Cake and Galaxy together.
Hello, Galaxy.
I met Cake at the Fairy Creek Blockade, and he was one of the best leaders.
Really?
What could I say? You were super helpful, and I thank you so much.
I'm the best leader.
Dude.
Just super helpful.
What, when you came to 2000 camp and you're out and actually doing shit, and I just meet you, you were not able to talk because you were doing shit. We would talk about shit that we needed to deal with, about other people maybe not doing shit, or take a break and like have a coffee and then be like, okay, sweet, thanks, man. Like, you would go up, I would go down.
Bro, that week at 2000 camp, that was one of like the chapters of my experience there, where I learned so much and met you on a different level, met a couple people on a different level. And I think it was one of the first stints of me like really finding like embodying the fact that that was the most meaningful thing I had going on in my life, and that eventually evolved to just not leaving, right? It being the tenacity of us and the police to like clear that road. Yeah, I think that was the first time that I was just like, nah, we're going back again and again. And like those hikes in the middle of the night to then like be up all day with the police there. And then, that was a thing for me. That was a whole emotional roller coaster that week. Whew.
Feeling like we're at war.
Yeah.
Listening to excavators, or like the excavators were the most traumatizing. You'd hear them in the distance. They reminded me of tanks, and I would have these wild dreams when I was in a tent on the roadway that we would be trying to block, and then they'd be rolling up in the distance, and then usually accompanied by the peons, the police, or just those would be the
cone heads,
infantry, and then people would start like hollering like they're coming.
Yeah.
Could feel that excavator from farther away.
The helicopters every morning.
Oh,
just recently, I feel like my like trigger for helicopters has gone away.
Cheers.
Yeah,
I'm glad it's gone away. And to give context for what we're getting on about, Fairy Creek was and is a ancient forest area. We call it Fairy Creek. They have another name for it. They would potentially bury their dead up there. The
Pashat Nation.
Pachi Dat and the Diddy Dat. And these folks think the forest is special and sacred, and it is. It's really powerful. It's really a huge part of a strong ecosystem. Trees are absolutely massive. So if you've heard about
1,000-year trees, this is one of the places in the world where they still exist, and there's so damn few places like that. And then there's so few forests here in the places where there's so damn few of them. You know,
redwoods in California. Yep. That's what I was trying to think of. That's where, if you heard about those, it's pretty much the same thing happening on the west coast of North America. And now it's not so much anymore because we've cut a lot of the trees.
Yep.
We've been born into a world that we used to be so much more fruitful. And we never got to see it before. And going into the forest, you could imagine that it would have been so different back in the day. There was much more fruit.
Sorry, into the mic. Just like 100 years ago. You know, I read one of the books that was going around at Fairy Creek was The Golden Spruce, and it was about this albino, I want to say cedar tree, this massive like 1,000-year, maybe a couple thousand, just like this massive tree that was albino, so it was white. And How we doing there?
Just checking if we're on record. Because
Boop, 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 boop.
the last 2 times I did this, I didn't check because I was like, nah, focus on
You
the
got this,
conversation.
yeah.
Be amazing. But yeah, we're rolling.
We're rolling, cool. Yeah, anyway, so golden spruce, albino tree, was sacred to the Haida Gwaii. And anyway, it just talks about the story of this.
This was a book.
This is a book. Yeah. It was one of the books that was going around at Fairy Creek. I felt that there was like 5 or 6 books that you could find at every camp that someone would finish and pass on. The Women Who Runs with Wolves was another one that pops out to me. But I just want
Twining sweetgrass, braiding sweetgrass.
Braiding Sweetgrass, yeah, totally. Yeah, that was one of them for sure. But anyway, so I just brought that up because that book, yeah, it's a large part of it was the story of this tree. That was just like a recent story. I think it was still around in the 90s, but it also dives into the history of logging in BC. And there's this one picture that just burned itself into my memory, and it's very much these ancient forest, massive trees, and a bunch of like ox pulling out these massive trees out of a forest, like dozens and dozens of ox, a train of them. And the caption then of the picture below said, "Downtown Vancouver, 1820."
Mm-hmm.
And it was just these fucking massive forests that then we would have seen at Fairy Creek. And so it's not too long ago where this whole place we called Metro Vancouver was an ancient forest. And I feel like I'm reminded of that every time it rains torrentially here, that if it wasn't for us, the forest would come back.
It would take so long. Those trees
To us, though.
For us.
Give it 10,000 years and they'll be back.
Sure they will. Yeah.
The whole thing.
10,000 years, we may get struck by a meteorite. That's my meteorite belief. New motto is who the fuck cares? We're going to get hit by a meteorite. So chill out and like let's just work together here.
That'd be like the easiest way out, I think. I think we got a lot harder story coming, rolling out for us.
Being all savage and confusing who used to be friends and backstabbing and tearing into your car as you're trying to drive away and they throw a Molotov cocktail at you and you die because it's an apocalypse for gasoline or some shit.
You nailed it.
Mad Max.
That's just what I was thinking.
I wanted to say this really neat theory that my dad talked about and how it's built upon, because when I brought it up to my twin brother, he wasn't that impressed with it.
Okay.
But it goes, how much water that humans have taken out of the ecosystem and stored in a place where it cannot be evaporated or go into the earth again, and it's out of lakes and it's out of the flow.
Okay.
All water bottles, all tap systems, all. And then I thought about, this is the second part that I thought about even more, is not just water, every energy drink, every Red Bull, every bottle of something is full of water.
Yes, wow.
And we've taken it out of the environment and we've sealed it. So it can't evaporate anymore. It can't go into mist. It can't rain back on us. It's not in lakes. It's not in... And he brought that up just as like, can you think of how much that would be? And I thought, man, that could be a big reason for extra dryness and extra heat in the world that I don't know if it would be large enough, but it honestly might be. All contained water that is, we've just taken it out of the ecosystem and sealed it into, it's in limbo.
Yeah. Yeah. Limbo, water in limbo. So drink up.
We'd have to do, and every single beer.
Get it. Drink it up.
Every single beer.
Put it back.
We'd have to do the math on.
I'm getting drunk.
How, if and how it would have a substantial effect.
It does. I believe if our ecosystems were healthier, I think it would create more water. I think the earth would create more water. But I think
all water's recycled. It's never destroyed. It just freezes, evaporates,
gets displaced,
conglomerates. Conglomerates?
Well, I don't know. This is fast. Water is so interesting, but I just have a feeling like.
And we're made of it too.
Yeah.
Every human that is alive.
Yeah, totally.
Instead of 2 billion, let's go with 5 billion humans at how many liters?
7 billion people, I think, at least. Okay.
So within the years, I think maybe it's been 200 years, there's been a massive jump in population.
Mm-hmm.
And even that in itself is a water hold. Like it's an ecosystem suffocation or dryness, undoubtedly. Let's just say it's 4 billion people at 8. Wait, how many liters do we have? 4 liters
Of water?
Blood.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's
Like
like, but that's kind of like flowing. Like that's such a high water content. But they say we're like 70% water. Yeah. But 4 liters, sure. But we're like 70% water. Like we're really, say you're like 150 pounds. So it's like, what's 70% of that? It's really more like 100 plus pounds of water. If you really were just to bury yourself, like if you were to drop dead, you'd be like 100 pounds plus of water going into the ground, with a bunch of minerals and other stuff.
Turn into the little creeks.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think he's got a point.
Yes.
We can be experiencing what other effects do we have because of, like, if we took that into account, like forest fires, drynesses, we're just displacing water from the ecosystem and capturing it and holding it and not allowing it to go back into our skies or back into the soil because it's in trucks going to 7-Eleven.
Fuck.
It's a trip. Because it can't be destroyed, but it just gets transformed.
7-11.
My mom called it 9/11 the other day.
That's
I
great.
went there and got a coffee at 9/11.
Record scratch.
We were talking about outside friends. I wanted to bring up the story in Mexico.
Great.
Trying to be open and honest, feeling like he was neglecting his dog because his dog whines, and then I'm like, man, this
People neglect their dogs. People neglect their animals. It's terrible.
dog probably hasn't walked today. Go walk it, and then it just takes this brutal shit. These beautiful ladies at the beach. I just like, God damn it. And he was drinking a lot too, and I just wanted to bring up, I just felt them, and I had this physical change and couldn't look him in the eyes as well anymore. And go to bring it up, gets so triggered, so defensive, and so mad.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how hard it is to be friends when the hardest thing about when a friend can't accept love, or I think it's love. I think I'm being reasonable.
Yeah, go on.
We're just adjusting cameras and audios all the time. We're just at my brother's studio in Vancouver. But
So you spoke to your friend and he was triggered.
yeah, when they're not doing well and they're not willing to admit, or they're changing to the dark side and you're watching it and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. It's tough.
How are you doing?
Me? As a friend?
Dark side? Light side?
Bro, I am fucking... I'm fighting. I'm like looking at... I'm working hard. I'm active. Yeah, I'm doing stuff that I've never done before. For instance, like I'm in a men's group. Started that a couple months ago. It's really affecting me.
You started it.
No. I started participating.
Sweet.
And man, I'm just since coming back from traveling about 8 months ago now, I've gone through a real roller coaster of, first I was looking for a job that would be good for like my filmmaking, project managing career. Wasn't finding anything. Just picking up any job I could find. A lot of bullshit jobs I've gone through. And there's a whole turmoil of like facing failure, facing not being happy with myself, like not thinking I was enough, and finding a place of being okay with that that I need to be patient, that I'm building something. But this last 8 months, I've been bored because my life has not been as viscerally purposeful as it was when we knew each other at Fairy Creek. And so I've been bored, and I got used to having danger in my life. I got used to protecting people. I got used to it, and I fucking was okay with it. And now I'm here in the city like a fucking tiger that's been domesticated. And, you know, with all of that, like that's my work. I think I've been like still keeping purpose in the this, for lack of a better word, like some type of like transitional chapter, you know. Does that make sense? Although I don't think there really are transitional chapters, but this kind of, for lack of a better way to put it.
Is it, we're not flipping pages every day? Every day we're flipping a page to have transitional chapters? Someone talked to me about tipping points. That being from boiling all the way down, one step at a time, grinding at the thing you love from 85 Celsius down to 84. Now, let's say 12 to 11 to 10, and nothing happens with water. It's all the same thing during that time until from 1 Celsius to 0 Celsius. It's a tipping point of change where things do tip. There's enough momentum, or there's enough drastic change within society or your own relationships, or heck, maybe it's a career, or heck, maybe it's quitting a career, that there's a tipping point. So you're saying in the last 8 months, you've been putting work into the thing that is work, but is trying to be more meaningful?
Yeah, I think I was just putting work into a plan, and then at some point, I abandoned the plan and started a new plan around New Year's. After New Year's, what it was, I remember, was I was set up for this fucking awesome job, and I had all the boxes checked. I thought for sure I'd get it. It would have been great for my career as like a content creator and like a project manager and yada yada. And I didn't get it. And I realized, like, if I didn't get that job, I'm not getting a job. And like, the world is just not wanting me. The universe is not wanting me to facilitate, to work for somebody. And I checked in, like, what am I supposed to be doing? And it's to build something, to create something. Like, that's what I know what I'm here to do. I'm a creator. And so then I leaned into like, well, what do I need to create before I die? And what must I do in this life? And that's what I've been leaning into since New Year's.
When do you find the time to ask yourself that?
When I find it's a little bit thrusted upon myself when I'm suffering so much, and I can, and I'm witnessing in between the vices to make it bearable. The moments in between vices to make it bearable.
Pressed up against a wall and something that keeps coming up lately is you're not talking about things and not dealing with something will never solve the thing you need to deal. And it only can make that thing grow or nothing at all, which then it's exactly where it was when we left off. And then some things just grow because they're pains in our neck, like jobs that aren't rewarding. And then every day it's just growing, but then we don't take action on it. Fuck, that's why I just don't get out of bed. Just kidding.
I didn't notice about you until I think just now, but you've kind of noted this a couple times on just mentioning that I'm like an active person. And I didn't realize it when I used to spend time with you a couple of years ago, that it's a value you have. You value activity or focus, or however you want to put it. How would you put it?
These days?
Sure.
Okay, so when did I say that? I don't know.
Well, way back. I don't know, man. I think maybe you mentioned an interaction. I asked you about Wim Hof or something, and I think you mentioned something. No, at some point I asked you to make some music for a video I was making, and I think one of these interactions you said like, Cake, you're always like doing something like that, just a small little thing. And I just kind of like remember thinking that was interesting. So it's kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And then just when we were hanging out outside, you kind of expressed a couple of things. We were talking about old friends and old environments, and one of the things that colored that memory was like how inactive our friends were. And so it's interesting that there's like I see a pattern in you, and like you notice that. So there must be some type of like, there's this. That's a thing you notice, and it's either it is a value and it is a thing. We can dive into it more. Yeah,
My
but
dad,
you get it.
My dad lined me up.
Gotcha. Hardworking dad.
Yes, and it's messed up, but it actually felt really rewarding hanging out with him the last month.
Cool. That's great.
Because from Mexico, barely having the energy to want to wake up, but I was doing exercise in my head.
Gotcha. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In the last bit, I was trying to start Briight Studios.
That's right.
/ start kind of a life of independence where if I can get the ball rolling and do enough work to podcast people, to write music, sell music, collaborate with people, and DJ in the town and practice my performances, and so much work there, and teach people.
Sick.
But
DJ school.
It wasn't lucrative enough because I couldn't find the energy to work, to do the things. A big part of it's internet stuff, internet promoting, like where you're going to show people and tell people about your music, collaborate with people. I'm already on my computer writing music, which it's just computer, and it just seemed I'm jumping ahead in steps and making it so heavy on myself, or I was making it really hard by potentially jumping many steps ahead and then writing it off, being like, I don't even want to do this life, actually. This electronic music, promoting oneself, being a motivator or one of those inspiring people on the interwebs who post their lives in cool ways. That's a part of it too. That's a part of advertising. That's a part of promotion. That's a part of the music and daily exercise and breathing exercises and trying to motivate people to be a good person. All of that felt... I've never actually gotten to the bottom of why I didn't work out there. I think I had everything I needed, although some ladies thought my house was disgusting and the environment was really loud and it was really hot. So it was probably pretty hard for me to work. And then returning to Canada, working with my dad. It's cold showers, working all day, then doing exercise after, just working on music for 3 hours in the night, waking up, doing that again for a month straight, sorted me out.
Wow.
But my dad still, I guess, is working hard and for himself. And then he taught me that, or just being surrounded by someone who does something, who then provides for you as you grow up, or getting convinced that you have to do things to become great. And I want to be great. And there's no lying when people take action to make plans and to put in work to complete things, and reaching out to people, not being like, hey, can you do this for me? But the ways you reached out to me would have been more in the way of you are creating something. So you're undeniably putting work in and you're looking to collaborate, which is something that I admire. But it probably comes from the things I've said in the past. I'm going to say where I complimented you was just my crushing on your great work at Fairy Creek as a when we'd meet up, and just like the way you would lead people and the undeniable work that you would do. That it's always been a competition with me and my brothers and my father, like being like, oh yeah, you think you're working hard, like let me show you, I'll work harder now. And then it's competitive in a physical work sense. And I might have rolled that feeling into some messages later to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We're talking about that why?
Well, I was asking your value in hard work, I think.
And you working on your last 8 months. One of the last texts you sent me, and I thought it was really cool, was like you got into a situation where you were ready to do some cool work for somebody privately, and that might not all worked out. And so you're kind of left, you leased your place, you told your job you're not going to be there because you were going to go do another job.
Yeah.
And then you said you were sitting there and you realized that being a part of that system you were in is actually being a part of the system that feeds a destructive cycle and a larger machine, and you become a cog in it. Something along those lines. What did you say?
Yeah. I had an opportunity, like I'm working just kind of a 9 to 5 right now, and I had this other gig in a beautiful place on a lake, and so I just took this opportunity without thinking twice, and it fell through the day before I was going to leave, and I think I was really wrapped up. I was really looking forward. I was emotionally ready to get out of the 9 to 5, basically. And what I mean by the 9 to 5, I mean the rat race. I mean trading your time in a way you don't want to trade for the ability to survive. And I was really looking forward to getting out of that, even just for a break from it, you know. And then when it fell through, I've been sitting for the last 48 hours contemplating what to do then, because I have all the energy to go. There's the energy that's pulling me to go, but now there's nowhere to go to. And I'm finding it really hard just to cancel the sublet. And I'm really finding it hard just to call up my old work to say that I'll be back, because I know that this is just not my path, and that I've had I generated some momentum to get onto my path, like more so onto my path, and I don't want to revert that momentum. And that path is to not to just be a part of the system, not just have a career that serves rich people, but to do something. Like, my dream is to help people and to have to create healthy spaces, healthy homes for people. And by that, just more communal, more village, more returning back to a different way of living. And yeah, so I'm just dealing with a little bit of the post-depression of a step in that direction is not gonna happen.
You're making me tap into what my parents might say, and it would be along the lines of, well, the opportunity that you were excited for and you were excited for fell through, and that's the reality. And if you can now get back up on the horse of getting excited about a new idea, that would be prime. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You're not a bad person for going back to where you were, because you would actually just be exactly where you were, though you're having this beautiful energy that is inspiring you to do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactamente.
So I hope you do find that, and you will over time. So when you're tapping into, you're saying you've been sitting for the last 48 hours and thinking, do you actually spend time away from people and thinking?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you have housemates and you are talking to these people, including me, to meet up with me. But so you spend time sitting and meditating?
Yeah, when I called you, it was the first time I got out of bed really today. I finally just woke up this morning, I just couldn't get out of bed. I was just laying there.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's not me. I'm usually an early riser. And so I was just got up, and just my body was I just couldn't do it today. And I think I was the reason why we had trouble meeting up today, because I was drifting in and out of sleep, because I was just kind of there's some burden on my body, burden on my life that's had manifests into the body as it does, right?
Dude.
Yeah. So today I was thinking a lot. Today I was like playing things out, checking my energy.
In a similar, and man, it can just go right over your head because it went over mine when I was in Mexico and people were telling me my expectations were too high.
Sure.
Because I wanted to I had a room this big and my bed, I lifted it to try to make more space. And then I have a computer and I wanted speakers and tried to make it soundproof so I could not bother anyone outside and not be bothered inside if I was going to do recordings. And all the things I told you about what I couldn't accomplish were all my expectations. And I was tormenting myself and holding on to how much better I should be and how much I could have done. And then the truth and reality of what I could accomplish in a day and where I was not meeting that. And I was just tormenting myself. And it can create this weird lag, tiredness, fogginess, where you're just like want to not do much. I'm lucky I don't want to like pound vodka when I get into those states.
Yeah.
I just know I do have instincts to eat. I do have instincts to do other things, but even in those times in Mexico, I would run for 40 minutes or swim for 40 minutes. And is that it? Felt like I did a little more. But daily exercise and then clean food, but then still get to the desk in the same room and just be like, ugh, I should be way cooler than this. And I should be way cooler than this. That creates torment.
Yo, yeah, I hear that. I'd say that to myself a lot. Like like I was saying earlier, like
I should be doing more to be a better person in this world. I should have a job that's way more in line with what I think is real. And you should. But we take steps and flip pages to get there. Dude, we were born in this fucking world set up with no old growth in Vancouver. And then you have this world. Oh, this is why I liked and would listen to my parents, because I can see in a reality where they could be right. Like, it's not the end of the world. If you can make another plan and accumulate dollars within your other job, go back with and let it be a stepping stone to something bigger that you're going to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if you decided to go back to your life, it would only fulfill you, I think, if you had another idea of what was bigger. You were telling me about some really cool stuff before about terraforming in a way. Shitty barren land, which has been done before, where you grow on barren land to then regrow greenery to transform dead space, human dead space, into something livable.
Human declared, yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, and I think at the very least, this moment, has injected me with a lot of ideas.
Sick.
Totally, and I'm just a part of me is thinking just to lean into them. Yeah, and one of them is to I'm gonna need a better work vehicle for that project of terraforming land ecosystem restoration. Gonna need a proper truck. So my thought was maybe I should just fucking live in someone's backyard instead of paying rent. Put down payments on a mint truck, and then I could put a camper in the back of the truck that kind of sits in the bed and rock that. You know, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm choosing to go back to my routine life, or to move into that. But either way, the idea of that plan, and that's not that crazy, is kind of on the radar now, which a week ago it totally wasn't.
Or 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago, exactly.
Or 1 day? 2 days.
Basically, yeah. You got it.
Was it pretty funky yesterday too?
Man, yeah. Yesterday was whoa.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, yesterday was whoa, and today it was depressing. So that's.
I'm really glad you came and met.
Dude, I have a feeling I was supposed to. That's why when I was thinking I'm not in a place to talk to people today, but I thought, but Galaxy, I'm anxious because of all these uncertainties, but Galaxy is living all those uncertainties right now. I gotta go talk to him.
Oh shit. Uncertainty.
Yeah, bro.
What a freedom people see it has. People say when you lock into a job and a groove, there's a certain freedom to it. There's some sort of freedom because you know where you're going to sleep.
Yeah, yes.
You know where you're going to work to get your dollars to get your food.
A good mutual friend said, like, it's a foundation. Like, you need to have a foundation in order to build something a lot of times. And the foundation being food, water, shelter, and knowing that these things are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I want to bring up this mutual friend at some point too, because they've been really influential in my life. And it took a while of us knowing each other before we realized that you were a connection between us both.
What?
Yeah, but
I know
please,
this person?
You do. Yeah, I do know them well.
Sick.
Yeah, anyway, well, please continue though. We'll circle back. Yeah.
It's my grandpa. I was just going to say, people look to me sometimes and just see such freedom. And I guess I battle, or I love the rush of living in a place where I'm not even sure where I will sleep or eat. It's so wild, but in this world we live in now, that's okay. And it's acceptable because I can have a credit card and literally go to any country and tap it to get food and accommodation.
I never thought of that, yeah.
It's fucked. It's only available now in this world. I'm not saying it's sustainable. I'm not saying it's unsustainable. Sure. I'm saying it's what I seem to keep doing is being in places where I literally don't know where I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. But
not worrying about it, and then people get knowledge from me or something, or they're, I don't know, it frees up a lot of space in my worry system. Like if I'm not worried about that, which others worry of, then when they speak to me, I don't know, they listen to what I have to say because I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, it's because it's the magic of your presence.
Think value of it, of that creature, of this creature.
Everybody who interacts with you will have a different interaction. You'd be a different person to every person. And so to some people, that's just what they needed. To some people, less as much. But yeah, your presence, your magic that you carry with you. And a lot of the times, our magic, some of it has been so developed within us that we don't notice it. That's effortless at this point. There's often the things we're working on that we're more aware of when we need to turn it on. But there's a lot of things that we did that process with, or we matured, or we experienced before, and now it's just a part of us, and we just like live it and resonate it.
Yeah,
that's what they're getting from you.
Sick. I remember something came up with my twin brother on how he can revert to a negative way of thinking. And I remember consciously working on that in high school because I always thought it was great when we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same high school. It's the same day. We're in the same room. We're eating the same food.
What a weird experience.
We're all here. So when someone is positive because you can be at one of two things, or maybe some sort of neutral somehow. But I liked it way more. And if you can bring jokes and strength and love and positivity to a moment that we're all like, I'm with you. So if I can make some positivity right now, I like that when people do that for me. So then I remember when my mind would come at me and I would think negatively, I'd be like, oh, I have to rethink this to make it positive. And then after enough times, after you've worked it enough, which it requires sleep, it requires energy, it requires conscious attention. Yeah, like you said, it can just start to be effortless. You've already thought and processed those things, the normal day things of not stressing about it, not worrying about it, or rewired your mind to go down the path of not saying, fuck, this is boring. Be like, in a boring scenario, just be like, damn, this is dope. What is up, y'all? How we doing?
A lot of it.
Routine, repetition.
Yeah, it really speaks to me like the process of healing traumas. Because if you've been traumatized in a certain way, then like something will happen in life and you'll just be triggered by it. And you start to live out But if you've really done some work, then you've healed a trauma, then those things just don't affect you anymore, and you kind of carry that with you, that understanding of the situation, but that just doesn't really affect you the same. And yeah, maybe there's in your scenario you've painted about boring high school or fucking weird high school, however you want to put it, but there's some work you did to heal the trauma of being bored every fucking day, and
or being mean,
yeah,
or
just
how others act,
weird,
like
yeah, totally.
where we have a choice, I think, or at least I was
Totally
hungry enough
Yeah,
to worry, like I would eat enough to have the energy to make a choice. And one way was easier than another. Be like, follow the gang and or be mean or be neutral, or like try to come up with something that's dope right now. That doesn't hurt anybody and is positive and takes strength and courage.
Yeah, I find a lot of it's being mean just as a release of pressure. Just out lashing out, and even like that kind of backhanded comedy, like backhanded humor. I think it's just like a relief. And it's a bad habit I think we have. And I think it's worse in some places than others. I know like my friends from like the UK in London, they're kind of nasty to each other. But to them, it's like, no, it's just us taking the piss out of each other. That's what they say. It's just the way it is.
Piss.
Yeah.
Yeah, taking the piss, man.
Taking the piss out of each other. Get to it.
Chaps?
You got it.
He's got a fucking tiny cock. Wait, is this Australian? What is it? Yeah, love Australian.
I've never heard someone from Britain do a good Canadian accent. Whenever I ask them, they always just do like Valley Girl, California. That's all they got.
No.
So you know what? Everyone who's listening didn't like my accent. I haven't heard a better, like vice versa. So
we
fuck
just
off.
sound like a mix of Californians or the East Coast people of Canada, or even French Canadian. You know, the whole why
Canadians. I don't know what we sound like. I think it's interesting here in Vancouver. I feel like I can tell from how people talk, where they're from. They've been in the city. Because if you go an hour out and it starts to get more country, like Langley, and that sounds a certain way, and you go an hour out, just 1 hour out from that, it gets real country. And I feel like they talk a certain way. I find when you go just outside of Vancouver, there's like a lot of the Canadian stereotype lingo, like, hey, buddy, that kind of thing, or what's another?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, eh? That kind of thing.
Who are we? It's a great question. Since I've been back here, there's a huge mix of ethnicities and super strong Hindi language happening. Many different Asian languages. I don't know what they are. I don't know.
What are you?
Is it Korean? Is it Chinese? Is it I said Japanese, Chinese, like
Vietnamese, Thai. Yeah. They're all so beautiful.
Oh my God, the mix of. So I was trying to check out like Indian porn the other day because what I'm really into is Indian.
Right.
Canadians.
Yeah. We're going real deep here.
Indian porn actually is more Indian people from India, and I'm less attracted to them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know.
You don't like the exotic kind of vibe?
Well,
I
was in Vietnam.
Okay, lots to unpack.
I barely found anyone attractive there. Honestly,
really,
sexually wanting to pursue people there might have been 2 to 3 people where I was like, yes, I'm highly attracted to this person and would like
okay, gotcha.
Sexual ideas to then make attraction to make enough energy to want to like pursue and talk to, though I never had the opportunity at all.
All right, Galaxy. I think we all know the question, like, what turns you on?
Tall chicks.
Tall chicks?
Yeah, tall chicks.
Not from what I've heard.
What do you know? Hanging out with a shawty.
So tall chicks, okay.
Yeah, that's
That's about it.
I don't.
But that's a tall box to check.
I feel like.
Ba-bum, bum, ba-bum.
I feel like there's so many features of people that are so beautiful.
Tall chicks
care.
are hot, by the way. Let's just we're on the same page with that.
Great.
Yeah, I love a woman who's taller than me.
Cool.
Yeah, because it's hard. That's a challenge.
That's a challenge for me.
That's a challenge for you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like taller than you or just
But
tall?
Also, one time there's been a girl taller than me that I've noticed.
Okay.
Two in the past. I'm actually so intimidated.
Really?
Something
because
happens.
it doesn't happen too often because you're tall.
Too often,
You're tall
and
as
then they're
fuck.
actually like they're over me.
Yeah.
But I have these
Happens to me all the time.
feelings towards them. Okay, how do you feel about it? Does it
Man,
doesn't intimidate you?
it's
You're
a
just
good.
like, oh baby,
Yo,
I'll
it
be
does.
a little boy.
Oh God, yeah, I do. I love that shit. It's a nice trigger to check like how comfortable I am with my skin. Like it reminds me of like, oh, I'm not totally cool with who I am. Anytime some woman makes me think that I'm not good enough, it's a good like, hey, you don't think you're that great. Like you got this in you. You're not really. There's something in you, Brandon, that isn't cool yet.
Okay, so
Yeah,
are they actually lashing out at you, or they're just being themselves? And
it's like it's all in my projecting all in my head. You know, it's like thinking like you see a beautiful woman, let's for instance, and it's just like, oh, she's too good for me. She's out of my league. That kind of talk. And like when a woman is taller,
anymore.
You don't get that anymore. You tall motherfucker.
No, I just make up other awful bullshit that I think is so rude of me to do, and be like,
Oh, really?
They're way too city. They're way too clean. They would never like go shit in the woods. They would never like bleed for the trees. They wouldn't be able to
That's a big one.
last 5 days out in the sun and tents at a festival.
Yeah.
And they would be a weight.
Yeah.
That's a lot to say about someone before even meeting them.
Whoa.
You know? Look at them, and then I just lash out with that. Whoa.
But you know it. You know you do it. How do you feel about doing that?
I don't know what else to do with my mind. Okay, so this is a practice where like you can write things positively. Noticing it is the first step, but you have to backtrack before you let all that stuff come out. You got to veer another way and say, maybe I hope this person stays comfortable and cozy at an apartment and watches Netflix with their hubby. Rather than going, because my mind just constantly thinks. It'll just constantly think. I'm either in a hyper focus and it's in a direct relationship and meditation with my body. Do you want to switch places?
No, I think it's weird when someone's just right on the edge of the frame. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel comfortable when you're watching. So just tucking it in.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make videos, eh?
I do. Sorry, please.
My mind is going to think. So I need to you have to design how you want your mind to think. If it's going to think all day, the lawnmower is going to run all day. Where are you going to put it? What are you going to run it over?
Interesting.
How are you going to use it?
Yeah.
It's going to run as soon as you're up. So what are you going to do with it? And you can promote it. You can help push it along. It runs by itself too. It'll go down the easiest paths where the grass is short already. It's hard to push it through long grass. Man, this is a great analogy.
Yeah, it is.
But
it's really like filling all the spots.
Okay, so what else could I think when I see a beautiful person that I then
What do you think's behind it? What do you think's like? Why do you think you do it? That's the thing. That's the trauma to heal, and then to embody the healing of that and the understanding of what needs to be healed, and then that's when you just will stop doing it.
I guess I could feel bad for girls that I've stopped seeing and not pursued because of my ambitions to continue trying to pursue and to see and like discover. I don't think you can discover another with one in a way. Like people are so infinitely unique and beautiful, and I really don't want to limit myself from meeting people.
Gotcha.
Meeting people and connecting with people.
Yeah, sure.
In-depthly sexually or there's so much more time around sex that is not. And there's like the befores and afters and all actions and how it flows. And being with people who have been so chill with being in environments of festivities, or dude, Fairy Creek people are literally on the top of my list of beautiful people to interact
people
with
in the world. Yeah.
that I can think of.
Yeah. On that note, like I would have full on like been happily married to half the women that were in that movement. And I thought like the men out there, I've never grown closer to men so fast. And those people, really have the same special place in my heart. That's why I feel so energized when we reconnect. Yeah. But the women out there, when I say married, I just mean like they were the most independent, fierce, compassionate, and also in harmony, most in harmony with their masculine energy as well as their feminine.
Yeah.
Of any group of women I've ever interacted with, easily. And so like they would all make like wonderful life partners. I think. Yeah.
Toughness was so high with tolerance to cold and rain and filth and not steady eating habits, diets, like everything was tested. Hey, I wanted to ask, when you were tuning into your body and you then said you were trapped in bed in a way, and I was trying to figure out if you meditate to think, but I wanted to ask, how is it you feel that something like, this is hard. I'm trying to ask how you feel, or how, is it as simple as that? How do you feel that you should be doing something greater with your jobs? How is it you have energy and can be sure, or like, catch my drift? What does that feel like to you? How is that ambition?
I think I got what you're saying, yeah. You know, from the last few years of my life, I've been exploring trust. Like since I don't think you knew this about me, but I used to be married. And my ex-wife was really sick and she was dying at some point. Fast forward, she healed because she found this teacher who taught her this meditation. It's more of a healing modality, as she says, and this healing modality, this practice that we can all do on our own, with a little bit of guidance, did what half a dozen experts couldn't do and what dozens of medications couldn't do. And we were evolving then, because I was witnessing a miracle, so I started working with this teacher too, because I was just so captivated by what I was witnessing. And when we were evolving so fast, and at some point I realized that our love was toxic, our relationship was toxic. And by the way, it was also incredibly wonderful, and I wouldn't change a moment of it. But at the point, I realized we would only truly love each other if we left. And so I had to leave. And it took a lot of trust to leave, because there's a lot of narratives around leaving people and around sticking with your wife and those vows that you made. And then especially when they're still kind of sick, they weren't healed yet, but they were on the road. And so there was a plunge. And since then, I think I was 30, almost 34. I think I've been like, trust has been something I've been like deeply exploring. And what I've kind of come from that is that, you know, because of our inherent connection to all things, to the earth, which is connected to all things, and that this cosmic and global life force, there's wisdom in it. There's wisdom just from its like age and everything, like wisdom beyond our mind. And so when people talk about their instincts, it's basically that. Like I'm continually learning to solve problems not with the computer in my head, in my skull, but with this deeper wisdom that we all have, but our society does not teach us to connect to. So there's a few of us that do. That there's a few of us that have like their connection is so strong that they don't need to be taught that to believe that it's there. And there's some of us that find the connection to that inner voice, and there's some of us that just don't. And so I don't have an answer of like when to move, when to change. That's why I've been in turmoil these last couple of days, because I've been searching for clarity. I've been looking within myself for clarity, but there is like everything we need to know in our lives context is within us. And I think just a practice of developing our perception, it is developing the ability to see through our wisdom, our deep wisdom. That's how I like to put it.
So tapping into that now, when you've been looking into yourself, or it's maybe hard sometimes being surrounded by people who are thinking logically and in their brain, even housemates, anybody, totally. Family, you go talk to them on the phone and then they're just talking to you from their calculator.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really up to you. So you're diving into your intuition, and then also your brain can like pull you out of your intuition.
Yeah.
You can be there, and it can be like, no, they're both important, because there is some times in this wild world we live in where our feelings both can be like wrong sometimes, and there can be these habits that you can only catch with your mind, and then like some certain addictions in a way, and it's like a logic calculated, like, how many times have I actually fucking had heroin this week? I don't even know what fucking day it is.
Yeah, man. Like vices, addictions, they're scary because they really do cloud our connection to spirit, really. Like they're really undermining us from being on our path. Like it's really frightening, I think. And it's really sad.
Surrounded by a bunch of people who are like halfway or
totally
an eighth on their path. And they're doing their best. Everyone's doing their best with what they got, always. So the turmoil comes from not wanting to agree with the calculator, or the turmoil comes from looking into oneself and it hurts to look into oneself, or going into yourself and not having an answer, because can the body not know at some points? More time needs to pass.
It's a cool question. I would say that that like eternal wisdom that we have, I think it's not separate from our mind. That the reason spirit can speak to us in words that we can understand is because it has access to our brains that knows the language. So it can speak through our bodies and then just use the mind to give us words. But it's really us. It is really us. And for me, the struggle is that right now is that no choice is wrong. It's just which one I think is what is a better move. And then what does that mean, better? You know what I mean?
That's where you tune into your intuition.
Sure.
That'll settle that quick.
Sure. There's sometimes also just like time. It just takes time, like let things like be open. What I've kind of think the mind is a puzzle solver, and for good reason. It helps us stay alive. It solves like immediate problems, but it is always trying to solve a puzzle. You're talking before about it's a lawnmower that's always running. And if we live our existence through it, we're always trying to like dissect and analyze things, because that's what his job is. So life can seem very chaotic if we're existing through our mind, but if we drop our consciousness into the rest of our body, we can see it as just this thing that just needs to be running, just like a heartbeat, just needs to be there, because like lots happening. And where's it going with that? So it's lots happening, body, but they're just asking about turmoil.
I was trying to figure out where turmoil comes from when you're tapping into, like, say you're intuitive enough, or you have been practicing to try to feel yourself, to trust in the universe and the earth. And I'm like, so how is it that there's why is there turmoil? You
Yeah.
lying to yourself. You not following your gut enough. But you're in a transitional period. There's time.
Sure.
Things changing.
Yeah, it makes me think of like the mind. Where I was going with that was like the mind wants to figure out things, and so it wants to kind of create knowledge, while the body has the potential of receiving it. And so we can just be open to the world. We can drop our bullshit and be open to receive, and then wisdom can come to us. And what that is like, you know, you can say it's a lot of different things. You could say it's spirits. You think it's like, you know, spirit of the forest. If you're in the forest, you could say it's this or that. But basically, like, there's more things happening here. And so if we just open up to it, we are a part of it. We're a part of this earth. We're born of the same water that's in the mountains is in our blood. So we can open ourselves up to tap to the knowledge of the things that have been here forever, you know, from our perspective. And yeah, I've read things about like indigenous. There's one kind of I can't say it verbatim, but I remember I was at a park and on a plaque it said that like this area, I think it was in Nanaimo, it said on this plaque, this area used to be the home of this nation, and although it is gone, you know, basically that if we like open ourselves to receive the information that nation had, then all will be regained. And so I know I'm not crazy. I know like other people have felt this too, that if we open ourselves up, we allow ourselves to receive many things, including information. And that's a hard thing to do for a lot of people who live intellectually, who believe they need to figure things out to then like leverage the power of like surrender. But that is one of the like a really powerful thing to surrender, to allow life to happen around us and allow us to be part of it and to receive. And like why I'm in turmoil, I think it's just because there's a lot of good things. I got a lot of good opportunities, and I appreciate this conversation to ground me in this. That I'm on my fucking path. I'm clear of what I'm here to do, and I'm just kind of worried if I'm like, is this the absolute best possible thing I can possibly do and right exactly right now?
Brat. Spoiled brat. So fucking good.
Yeah,
my life is so good.
Yes.
Surrounded by abundance. I was in Whole Foods today with my mom.
Right.
There's so much food everywhere, and people were just like coasting.
Fuck.
We're just in a grocery store, and I'm like, dude, this is fucking sick. Look at all this shit we can buy. Think about, like, yeah, if you have $1,000, I don't know how much you need to be okay. Fuck. The amount of people who have money in their bank account and worry about money.
Yeah, right. I think
they're
I
not even out of it.
I think I heard a Will Smith quote, like pre-slap, when he was on top of the world, that he said like he was just as anxious about money when he was the biggest movie star in the world than he was when he was a broke kid in Philly trying to like make mixtapes. He was just as worried about money.
Huh.
Yeah. Makes you reflect on your attitudes, right?
Man, don't waste your time thinking about money. If you got it.
If you got it, you got it. Move on. Put it away. Put it in a home. Invest it in the home, the people you love, and then bam.
Yeah. I've just been thinking I'm going to rent all the time, but I really see how it could be quite lucrative in leasing a house and paying about as much rent as you would on the house to then own it one day. But then, goddamn, what my parents have taught me is
that
leasing the house.
Out then in.
Or owning the house. Once you die, when you give the house to your offspring, the government takes 2.5% of what it's worth.
At least.
What the fuck
are
they doing to deserve that? We're so not free.
No, we're not. We're really, I just was hearing today about how like owning a home was an idea from the bank because banks make money. Banks make money by lending money. So they wanted to lend more people money because you lend $1, you give them $1 and they lend it 9 times, 10 times, like to different things, different ventures. And so they wanted more money. So post-war, they're like, let's get everyone to buy a home and they'll lend money. We'll lend the money to do so. And so let's create this thing that everyone should own their own home. And so we're going to call it, it's not just a thing, like we're not going to call it, hey, everyone should own their own home. We're going to call it the American dream, to own your own home, have your own castle. And yeah, when you own a home, do you own it? How, like, is it really just from the, like, being borrowed from the bank?
And borrowed from the earth in your temporary existence?
Some of these projects I've been talking to people with about, like, land-based projects, they're usually based around purchasing land. But then my business advisors the other day just said, like, you don't need to, you could lease it. You could find someone in this, because, like, do you really own it ever? You know, you do one thing wrong in that property. You build a structure on the property that the government doesn't give you a checkbox for, and they'll tell you can't open or something. Like, how much do you really own any land? So it's kind of like a...
What did he say? He said to rent it then?
Well, like, for a land-based project, you know, like, usually we, like, in, I guess in the circles I'm in, we usually talk about, like, finding investment to purchase land, rural land. But just then the other day we were just talking, and he said, you know, you could just think about leasing it too, because, like, when do you really own land? And, like, that's a real question, I think, in our modern world, right? The government really has a lot to say about land.
And a lease, yeah, that's where I got tangled up. I'm not even good at this at all. But a lease is you're paying to then own it at one point. But the stress, the no stress that your financial advisor is saying is paying, like, leasing to own it and having that stretch be whatever amount of time is not a big deal. Like, you don't need to own it to then do work on it. Like, no one really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. Because, like, yeah, because even if you were to buy it outright, I mean, when do you own it? When do you really own it? You know, I guess was the question he was posing, right? To not get hung up, not get stuck in the box of I need to own land to build on it.
Yeah.
Even when you own it, there's a lot of, like, things the government can do to prevent you from doing things with land, including continuing
prospering
to money. Yeah.
Individually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
God damn. Hanging out with my dad, he's got it all. Like, he just is knowledgeable and is not afraid to speak to his son. Definitely not about where he's felt suppressed as an individual.
Gotcha.
Who works for himself.
Yeah.
Who tries to work for himself and make a go of it. And then, yeah, you're just trying to make a go of it. And then just more bills and more laws get passed. More individual payments.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just alive, and now there's this new idea that I have to heat without firewood. Okay, say that's okay. That's okay. So I need oil now. But I have to buy the tank, and it has to be to their regulation.
Totally.
And that tank is $12,000, where I can make a tank, and it can't get certified because I'm not that company or something like that. And just money comes out of nowhere for a guy who should be, he, like, owns the house, like, and then they still want taxes on your house just existing. Or property tax.
Yeah.
You own property in the country. Well, what's it worth? 12 million. Okay. Your property tax is 1%, 2% per year.
It'd be a lot easier if we really had faith that we were all in this together. But it really seems like, you know, our leaders in the ruling class have their own plans, right?
So
that don't support us.
In your text earlier, this is along the lines of what you were talking about. And I would just wanted to ask, what's the plan?
It's my plan.
How are we getting out of it?
Man, I really believe in villages and communal living and, you know, existing under, you know, a ruling body, a government that's its most readily used power is violence. And just to kind of, what I mean by that is, like,
our ruling body at the moment is power is violence.
Yeah, that's how I see, like, you know, the police and all these, like, things are in place to, like, ultimately, well, if you don't do it, like, police will be there and they'll make you do it. And
is that not the way of things and the world?
I think that's the way of, like, probably, like, as for all time. I think I think the world is globalizing, so it's all becoming, like, very similar. But I think that I'd like to create or to be part of creating a culture in there, hopefully to spread into a country that doesn't solve its problems with violence, So right now I'm cynical about it because I feel like we're very simplistic on doing that. Such as in Fairy Creek, where peaceful protesters holding space, which on paper Canadian government is all cool with. Peaceful protesting is all cool, and their response is to use force. Like that's the immediate response.
It's so much easier to deal with those fuckers to just forcefully take them away.
Yeah.
Or like
They've gotten so good at it. Like,
the system's in their favor.
yeah.
The people who design the system and profit from the system, it's designed in their favor to perpetuate that system.
Yeah, exactly. To empower itself.
Needs systematic change. I really like the ideas of wrestling and toughness.
Yeah. Cool.
Death, like with weapons,
Interesting.
is so real and has been around, but I've never seen it. And it scares the shit out of me, but it's so real.
Yeah.
Privileged motherfucker.
Yeah, like on this note, like
So many other countries right now are
yeah.
going through this.
Totally. Yeah. That's why I personally kind of feel like in Canada, we got to keep on pushing the envelope. We need to keep pushing the ceiling of the human rights higher because we need to like keep on.
We have all the
Keep it
land
on.
for it. We have the
Yeah.
technology and intelligence.
Well, for prosperity, we have the economy. Like we could
prosper.
be utopia.
We have all of the land for it. We have all the water for it.
We do.
We have, with technology, we have enough space, enough wealth to do everything ourselves to make a fucking sick utopia. But so many people do, but then there's opposing views. And I think everyone's doing the best they can with their individual selves. Plus, there's some fucking rats who ruin it for everybody. Just like one person can really fuck up a lot for a lot of people.
That's part of like the whole game that we're in, though. Like it's not that I'm saying it's not true. I'm just saying that I don't know. Yeah, for sure. There's gonna be greedy people. Like people are the wild card in any kind of situation. Like you can map all the things out. We can make these plans, but if people are involved, we don't know what's gonna happen. Really. Yeah, man. Like village communal living, returning.
Utopia also could be
Okay.
fucking boring. And,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's ever. I don't know if it's ever there though. I think.
Utopia, yeah, right?
I don't know if it's ever there. Yeah.
It's a constant effort.
Yeah, like
Same with our body health and survival. Like, but people don't need to fucking pull crabs in the bucket. Wait, I didn't say that right. They don't need to be like crabs in a bucket and like pull other people down who are successful.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, dude, if you become a thriving village,
Yeah.
some other motherfuckers might just be like, yo, that's
Totally.
not right. Let's go kill
totally,
them.
totally, yeah.
Or but don't let me say that indirect
Don't discourage
your
me.
eye
Yeah.
to discourage.
You know what I would find?
Because I do
interesting?
think you're right about smaller villages and
Yeah,
smaller
and at the
communities.
very least, like, let's say a rent of a house here in Vancouver, one of the most like quote unquote livable places on earth, fucking expensive.
No, it's not.
Exactly. But like, let's say like the rent for a house is like $6,000 a month, and at the very least,
it is.
Yeah. So at the very least, what I would do is just have like 30 people rent it, so we can at least free ourselves from that kind of. And then in order to do that, we just need to drop our indoctrination of like being consumers and valuing fucking things that corporations want us to value. We need to drop all of that, and it's completely possible. And this is kind of like a radical, like to a lot of people who hear this, like that seems like fucking insane, but that's just an example of like communal living has a power that we can live within this violent system but not be oppressed by it in a lot of ways. That was just one like off the top of my head example, but I think for me exploring the power of a village basically, and Fairy Creek was the thing that inspired me to see this, like to see when there's a bunch of people with like-minded people and we have the support of our basic necessities, and then we have purpose behind us too. Which is really like a good leader provides purpose in a way. Then incredible things can happen, But I know from what I'm witnessing, the fallout of the summer of Fairy Creek is a lot of us scattered because we all ran out of our basic support. We ran out of money, or when it got cold, we didn't have a place to sleep anymore. Only some of us had vans and stuff, and so there's a lot of like scattered energy because of that. Just basic support was gone, and so that's what my project is: just like find land, develop it, to provide a means to create a basic support, and then myself and keeping the space sacred for so that the culture of the space is of a certain culture, so that people are there and it's purposeful. And then I hope to just to build a very like powerful place for people to stay and live or pass through. And I can speak to that forever, but you get the gist.
You're a cult leader.
Yeah.
Look at
Yeah, I
my
love it.
handsome curly hair. To me. I've been suppressed out of groups before, but they don't know the way. I know the way. Look at me now.
Oh God,
I'm totally kidding.
If you come in and you see that, please tell me.
Whoosh.
I'll need that.
I'll come in with the whip. Whoosh. It's like, what is happening? Oh. That's the children and mothers being like, oh, what is happening?
all my wives and children.
Yeah. They're like concerned, but also kind of relieved. In my fantasy, at least. My Wild Western. I'm trying to write a track with some Wild Western kind of connotations. Connotation? No.
Connotations.
Affirmations? Nope. Similarities.
Salutations.
Salutations.
Westerns are great.
Okay.
What do you think of that? How did that land to you?
Man, I forget the question I even asked you to then motivate you to speak of. I think it was
you said, "What's the answer?" You said,
Yeah.
"What's the answer to the world's problems?"
You kind of talked about your work, or then we also got sidetracked and
It's all good.
speaking about some other issues that
Is it sidetracked
that
or is it
are
related?
related
Yeah.
in our society.
But how does it land, man? How does it land with you?
I think it lands on point. The only thing I
feel crazy.
feel weird about is, I bet everybody does in this ever expanding universe.
I think he was trying to do something. Yeah.
Elon Musk, he brought up this cool
man.
quote.
Cool.
Communist. Just kidding. Oh, he's capitalist. No, there's only a sum of things in the universe, or even if everything is at zero, if there is a negative, there will be positive.
Yeah.
If there's positive, there will be negative.
Okay.
But in an ever expanding universe, there actually can be growth of one more than another.
Yeah.
And I think it actually would be swinging. So like if we started at zero and then things were positive, it can go to +2.
Gotcha.
It may want to be pulled back towards zero, and or it could overswing down to -1 or -2. Okay. But it can, I don't know. He says not everything that needs to be created has to be equal. Because we're in an expansionary time. And that's why we feel so fucking crazy. As this fucking, everything is expanding and you are.
Yeah, right.
And we are,
That's
because
the
we're
truth.
part of it all.
Yeah, brother.
Okay. So how do I feel about it? When we talk about like true sustainability, we're so far from it. And I also have kind of slowed down on even wanting to present or talk highly of any sort of sustainability that I even do at all, because I just think I'm so not, and I'm so involved in this society.
Okay.
But like at Fairy Creek, those basic needs, they were met by monocrop agriculture and grocery stores.
Yeah.
Like, and just people who bootlegged in this society where this is where I get a little bit of fear from people who work and be like, yo, get a job, because that's something that people and the larger group can reassure themselves with, is they worked for this to come donate food for us to help the trees, because they thought it was important. And it made a sustainable environment at the time when we were living in the trees, because people gave us food donations, and then we brought our own means of tents or living spaces or built them, etc.
Yeah.
But then I thought, instead of looking in any sort of shallow or be like mean to say, yo, Fairy Creek's totally not sustainable. What I thought is everything is moving and fleeting, and it is a positive force or it is a step in a positive direction, and it's a positive force for trying to sustain ecosystems that are the physical water sources and natural resources that we need to survive.
Sure.
And when I see and feel like living 30 people in a house, when I've seen it before in an apartment, it's not ideal living.
I think depends. I mean, it's just like a random example. No, it's not ideal. And I think, like I was saying before, like people are the wild card, right? If the right people in, I think anything's possible with the right people involved, and nothing will work with the wrong people involved.
And everything works for a time. Everything is fleeting. Kind of like I said, for how Fairy Creek works.
And it's usually, for sure. But, when you kind of, a lot of a story for really successful ventures, I guess, just like people coming together and creating something, and then a common reason for the failure of whatever it is, either a business or like a historical campaign to expand an empire, whatever, like those collective works to do something, is the visionary dies, is an often plot point. The visionary dies, and the vision continues with other people who don't quite hold the same thing. He didn't put as much effort into passing on the vision. And so that for me reinforces the idea that, it's like the people are really what create things. If the right people are involved, they sense when the group is going astray or when there's something happening, and they adjust and they keep, whatever it is they do it. But if you lose that magic, that X factor, then it can go down the drain.
That scenario with 30 people in a house too is so it's so limited, or it's so I'm not trying to dig on your idea or take shots at the idea. I'm trying to
Or it could be anything. It could be like living in a van. I'm just saying like something outside the norm.
That's only ideal because we live in this already fucked up system.
Yeah.
Where like all the roads are paved, which is earth, which used to be trees because of cars for fossil fuels to burn. We use cars in this tiny window of like 80 years, maybe more.
Yeah, it's wild, eh?
All the streets you see are for those things that consume fossil fuels. And that system has a ton of money to try to perpetuate itself, to try to keep it going. For us to do that, it's an entire system and way of life that we've done that's gotten away under our feet. Dude, it's normal to think about a driver's license, to go get food, to get driven to places, to go for drives. All of that shit is, I think, in no way sustainable.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either.
Even if one car drove, I don't know how much fossil fuels are going to be regrown in the earth and be like pulling the carbon out of the atmosphere and putting it back into the earth, if any of that matters.
I think that what I'm picking up on is that to something that's actually regenerative, to a lifestyle that's actually regenerative, it's so radical, right? It's so different from what we're living. But that's not to say that there's those who aren't trying to get there. But all the things that are better than the typical or like lifestyle we've been taught to pursue, the stuff that's in the middle and away from it, I think they still carry merit, even though they're not perfect. But I think there are things to be gained along the way, such as even, for instance, you're knocking on living in a van, and I get it for sure. But as an individual's personal journey to kind of experience life, to have their own personal enlightenment, is to live outside of a system, to then to be able to see the system that they're born into. And also they get an opportunity to lose a lot of their possessions and not accumulate more. So, on an individual level, I think any kind of step we do is worth doing. And I think there's some people like myself who have like a bigger picture, and it sounds like you too, who look to see for what's how can we do better. I think it's people like us that just simply because we have the awareness of it, there's an ability to respond to create something even better. And that responsibility like is what I want to lead into in my life. But I won't knock myself for the stages it's going to take me to actually manifest it, because I have limitations and I'm just rolling with what I got. But to do like, to get there the fastest, coming back to like my the turmoil, like to roll there as fast as I can is like what I want to do, right? Because of all these reasons, because the stuff in between isn't good enough. And it's unfortunate that myself and you are adults and and there is no hope for us to be provided what we actually need. We're in a place that we actually have to create it ourselves. And that's what I think when I think about this land project, is I think of it like I'm building the home I wish I grew up in. And that's the home I want for my children. The one that's connected, where they see green every day. And when they have 10 elders around them every day, and 10 brothers and 10 sisters and 10 aunties and 10 uncles and 10 fathers, like we're a village, and we don't feel alone all the time, and we don't feel fucking lonely and stressed and in boxes and plugged into something all the time, where there's quiet, where we feel the wind and we put our feet to dirt, Yeah, man, that's what I want for my kids.
So going back to what I was mentioning about how we're in this society, and changes are good, new mindsets are good. We're so deep in it. Okay, so what is it even for? What is it? I would say that arguably within our soul, like to enjoy a drive, in my mindset, where I would say like it's all unsustainable in a way, or it's all in a fucked system and it's just making people money, and you're inevitably going to be back in the machine, back into loop, you're only enjoying that drive because you're not at work, or you have time away from your things that you say XYZ that you don't like your wife, kids, co-workers, other things. You're just in your zone, and you're in this little box that was created for you, but all of it has been fueling a bigger system, which is ultimately destructive, I think.
Yeah. Got it.
So say we're not in a destructive system.
Yeah.
The fuck are humans doing here? Say you're in a village.
Sure.
And you're growing things.
Okay.
And things like growing things, and you're feeling wind and dirt, and shit's fucking, that becomes norm, and that's amazing. And it's probably going to be at a higher level than it used to be. Probably going to be even more like medicines and information for medicine. And if you
what we do with all the time is what you're saying.
What do we do about like asteroid impacts that are going to be like global?
Why do we need to? Why do we need to do anything about them if it's our time to go? Really. I don't know. I honestly think that we haven't earned our right to survive something like that. I don't think we should go. I personally think we should put our money to saving Earth. We should put our energy, we should put our geniuses. I get it. Like, there's so few Elon Musks who are really trying to like expand to another planet. So like, sure, that's my opinion, is that there's enough people for us to all work on all problems all at the same time. But ultimately, I don't worry about it because, man, I'm just going to do my work. I got about another 50 years on this earth to do what I can do, and I'm just going to fucking live it, and I don't care if I don't care what happens at the end. I have to live my life with my integrity, what I believe. And yeah, I won't. And for what I got is like that we've been sold a lot of ideas on life, and that'd be a lot easier. But I don't think I think there's going to be a moment in our deathbed, if we're lucky enough to like see it coming, that we're going to check in with ourselves. And yeah, I think I'm going to be grateful that I get to die in peace, knowing that I really did what I felt like I must do in this life.
I think tuning into that before your deathbed, and for everybody,
Amen,
is really important.
Yeah, brother.
And for everybody to not neglecting that they're all within their own battle and trying their best and can see a better future.
Mm-hmm.
But it's people who actually take action to making it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a depressed person
Yeah.
who everybody's looking to make their life better and
Yeah, so true.
everything better. But the only thing that will ever do it is doing some sort of step of the action that needs to take place.
Yeah.
Seeing an idea and then like having confidence enough to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's only based on like what can we see. I was speaking earlier about responsibility, and to me that word means the ability to respond. And we only have the ability to respond to the things that we can witness, that we can actually see. So that's what I mean by I have this perception based on my life and my experiences that I can see this thing, that I can see that there's a lot of people who want to live without capitalistic values, less materials, less possessions, I mean, and then I see it could be beneficial. So because I see it, I feel like I connect to my ability to do something about it. But I recognize that people who are just on a completely different life experience, it's not that it's their fault that they don't do this or before, so I don't really blame necessarily the generations before. It's just they had their own perception, they had their own things that they could witness, and it's their own inner question to ask, like, did they actually live in integrity with what they believed or not? Or like if I just meet another like Vancouverite, you know, and I know that it's okay that you think differently because I know just strictly like you have a different perception. And so, yeah, just accepting that we all do see the world differently. But like the inner work is seeing like what are we choosing our ignorant to not see? Like, do you see what I see, or do you see? Is there something that like you know that you see within yourself that you've never heard ever been spoken ever, and that you're choosing not to share just because you think it's crazy because you've never heard it before? That's I feel like the inner work that we all go through and to step onto our path.
I wanted to say on a trigger point, absolutely. Don't ever talk to me like that. No. There was a point where you said you had to do the work, and we have to do the work when we're alive to create a life that we want. And
I think what I mean by is like it's our, like I like to frame it as work because it's not easy to step onto our path when there's a lot of like influences to stay on their path to tell us what to do. And so for us, like my experience of knowing myself has been work. So that I use that phrase work because that's the visceral, personal, human like experience of it for me. Yeah.
Drink some of that beer if you want. And
thank you.
I wanted to say that I think it's an analogy, or it's an exact example of how potentially children, how childlike adults can be in pursuing and following and just waiting for people to do life better for them. A large issue with the disconnect that we have in saying our government needs to help us.
Sure.
We need to do, like, I can't believe our government isn't giving me.
Yeah.
Our government is people. People are us.
Yeah.
And we should be closer to our government. Yeah. The people who work there, they should know who they're affecting. And there's too many people, too big of a disconnect. And when I heard you say, like, it's too bad we have to do the work to get the basic things for ourselves or to get our basic dreams, it's like a transition from being a child and being fed and then learning with our individual selves and our own experiences that I need something else for dinner. And I'm not going to, like, if I sit here and let you feed me constantly, others will feed us, but they will feed us their things.
Yeah, buddy. That's such a great way to put it. It's so clear when you phrase it that way. Yeah, there is an adulthood that you come into when you're going to
fucking create your own path, a greener life for yourself, because we've agreed that none of it fucking matters whatever way you live, and it could all be gone in an instant. Our own lives in an accident or in a global apocalypse, but we have our views on what is better and what kind of lives we want to live, and then therefore we set an idea and an example, and we procreate, and we have our own ideas and examples, or we grow a person who lives with our ideas. Like when they grow up in a greener space and closer to nature and community. There's enough room for it, for sure. And it's just crazy how others interrupt others. How others just like push their own beliefs on others. It's fact. And I don't mean you're doing it to me. I mean, people try to stop people from doing their own thing.
So true. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I think you've kind of like hinted a couple times to like, well, what do we do in a utopia? Like when there's nothing to do, when there's no more fight, like hypothetically. And I would say it's interesting because we're kind of there. We kind of have got it all figured out in a way. Like our basic needs are kind of there, and look at what we've made of it. And so what I personally think, like our collective consciousness's next step is to be okay with being connected. And what I mean is, right now we share each other's thoughts like rapidly. If there's no science fiction. In science fiction, there's societies that are psychically linked that can hear everything they think. What would be the precursor to that? There's no science fiction writer that would have predicted like this internet thing with the cell phones in our pocket where we can just share messages and share thoughts to the world instantly. But to me, that's like, it seems like a precursor to like, as if to a psychic-like experience, you know? And I think, let's say the world woke up today and we could hear all of each other's thoughts.
Sweet.
You know, imagine like the fucking just shitstorm that would create.
For a while.
Yeah.
Takes some getting used to.
That's what I think we're in. I think we're in this phase of we no longer need to fight for resources. Not all of us, right? I know there's a lot of like survival energy going on, but I think that's part of like the whole idea of like empires and kingdoms, like still playing itself out. Like there still is a ruling class and it's playing itself out, and that whole narrative to the human story. But I think for me personally, I feel like a lot of my work in the future will be to facilitate peace. And what that is like safe spaces, and to learn to bring people together in when they seem to be opposing, because I think that's something obviously in the last like little bit in the world we can see that we're not very good at. That if anything, I don't think because of these platforms that we've gotten more racist or more opposing or more hateful. I just think it's being shown to us now. Yeah, and for us to get over that, for us to not try to, like what you're saying, stopping each other from living our lives, that's not like a practical thing. That's not like, well, if I have enough money, I won't stop someone else from trying to live a life. That's not true. That's just like an emotional maturity that we need to do to let go of what other people need to do with their lives, and to not feel that we need to compete or that have scarcity mindsets or all this bullshit. That's just an emotional maturity that now we're being challenged on like a global level to check in on how mature we are in that with each other, to hold space for each other. And I don't think we're really good at it. And so I think that's is what we're being challenged to rise up to right now. Or we're going to fucking burn.
Dude, that's like a huge fucking quote right before a trap drop. Or we're going to fucking burn.
And you know, I may... We're going to fucking burn.
We're going to fucking burn. Okay, so what's also being discovered is there's these fucking groups of people. This is why they want to keep bothering you, because there's a group of people who've been taking pennies off of everybody.
Cool.
And also dollars.
Wow.
And
it's too much.
Everybody.
I was cool with the pennies.
We found out they're doing that, and that
was the plot of Superman.
To live on your own.
Sure. Yeah.
They come after you, and they convince these other people that they need their money, which they also take from those people. They're called police, and that is coming to fruition heavier than ever. Like we're being told and we're getting in the know of how badly that happens. And if it's a maturity thing, it's a physical disruption. And I'm not sure as a loving being on the planet, I don't think it's healthy for that type of person. And they need to stop because they need to be taught, because they're acting like children, because they're doing nothing and taking everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
And
totally. Well, I mean, isn't that what a lot of like rich people are doing? And you know what I mean?
That's what I mean. So we're in this.
Gotcha.
In this time of discovery, and that's what I'm saying. We're discovering this, and we now read like, no, I deserve your. I'm just thinking of your beautiful utopia and wanting to be there. Utopia / just community, families.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Families everywhere.
Yeah, I want a big family, man. That's my dream. That's my utopia, just a big family.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about these people who want to take money from you for trying to live like closer to land, being on it, and they'll go out of their way to reach over to you to take something of yours because that's bad.
Totally, yeah.
I think that's bad.
Yeah, sure. I think there's a little bit of like playing within the system is going to be like, man, I don't know. Like, definitely there's going to be like hardships in doing anything. But is there an immediate what's the word, antagonizer? But just to move forward and think like, well, there's going to, like, something could happen. Someone could get jealous. Yeah, like, of course. But you also, we just don't know what'll happen until we start to do things. So like having good people around, that's the X factor for success. So letting good people in my life and strong people, and then whatever we need to do, we'll pivot.
Leading by example is literally all.
And just leading in general, you know, like stepping up and actually like saying,
speaking out.
Yeah, like honoring, taking your responsibility,
being creative,
honoring what you think of. Yeah, intelligent.
And when other people do that, know that that's you speaking out, and just be patient and just let them speak.
Can I talk to you about your leadership? We switching? I feel like there is this moment near the one of the later chapters of Fairy Creek to me after HQ is raided. Yeah, like so after HQ is raided, we went to that other camp. I don't know if you're around at that point that much, but anyway, so there was this other camp, and there was very few experienced people there, and I found I really stepped into my own as a leader there because there just wasn't enough. And I remember there was this hike we went on with a bunch of new people. It was like 40 people. 30 of them, I think, it was their first day on the blockade, like hauling supplies through a trail only one person has done before. And
I think I remember this expedition.
You do? Interesting.
I don't think I was on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, you remember.
I remember I was maybe doing something the next day.
Gotcha.
And I couldn't go, or I didn't think it was right, or I was doing something else. I think.
Yeah, totally.
I think potentially on that day, people were setting up at the bottom at the exact same time, and I think I might have been a part of
that. That rings a bell.
That was setting up at the bottom as you guys went.
I think that was right. Yeah. But anyway, my point of the story was that I remember going through that experience. It was a hell of a hike. It was fucking gnarly. There's a lot of anxiety that the Greens were in the bush, like special forces and stuff.
Oh my god, I hate that.
Yeah, dude. And anyway, so there's a lot happening. And I remember when I got there, and all the new people got there, and we're all good, and we met up with the groups on the road, and I remember thinking to myself at some point, it just hit me that if I did like a leadership workshop, if I gained that knowledge from that experience in another way, it would have cost thousands and thousands of dollars for the amount of like just leadership I had to like step into to gain that experience. And so I just think of that's a jumping off point. I think of like, everything that I did to get to that point, to be able to step into that. And I just saw like, that whole Fairy Creek experience was a big part of me stepping into leadership, seeing what really makes leaders, because I just saw people rise up and become leaders. And you were one of these people. And it was at, It was at the 2000 we were talking about earlier, the 2000 road. One time particularly was when they didn't clear all of our contraptions we built, and they told us to leave. There's probably like 15 or 20 of us on the side of the road, and they told us to leave. But there were people still in tripods and stuff, so we weren't going to leave them, right? But they told us to leave. And you were the most experienced person, I think, at the time. And so you just, and I was angry. I was about to tell them this, like just to start a fight, basically, tell the police to fuck off. And I think you handled it in a way that I remembered very clearly from that point on. Or you kind of just were fucking calm as fuck, not confrontational. You just said something along the lines of like, we are just here. Just be in this space. We're allowed to be in this space. And you can come and go, but we will be here. Something like that. And we're just going to be here. This is how it is. We're not leaving our people. We will be here. And it just, you laid it out. And I was like, oof, Galaxy. Yes. Thank you.
Dude, I was always
that?
so shaky in my core.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm doing, like, we're trained that these police are the alpha and omega.
And the good guys. Yeah.
And then I'm just shaking to my core because I'm just going somewhere where I've never thought I'm supposed to. And I'm back talking this adult police figure. And
with a gun.
I am okay. And I'm like, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm shaking because of it. But I'm like, you will have to come to me and arrest. You can arrest me, sir. Go ahead and just do it on this camera. I think there were people there, and I think I said that. There was actually images of there, and every time they come up, they're on my Google Drive. They show up in history, and I'm like, ooh, that was a crazy time.
Yeah,
but that's a sick photo. I'm just kind of by myself. Some people, I think, joined later, but I was just in this middle of like 6 cops ringed talking to me.
Yeah. I think I remember that, yeah.
Got the photo. It's just training, and it's just time. I didn't know that I was a leader, or I didn't know that I could do what I did.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was really fun. It was really fun to grow and figure out what human potential you could do. And for what I knew was right, I just wanted to do the best I could. I stayed quiet for weeks. And then I learned that we don't know. No one knows. And then suddenly I'm there knowing the most, apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, every waking moment I will speak. Let me speak. Sure, I have to, because that's how we change information here. There's no internet. There wasn't sometimes.
Most of the time, yeah.
So did that just inspire you to speak for people?
Yeah, man. It was you set an example that like stood out to me. And it was one of the many times that I saw young people that I could see myself in, doing what you're doing, just doing things that I didn't know I could do, basically. And that just grew and grew and grew for the whole summer.
Yeah, you were bringing up that story as you got to the top of the hill, and I wasn't sure if you looked back and remembered that and was then inspired and then just started speaking up to that group. But I guess you were just remembering a fucking crazy time. And you bringing that up makes me think of I've never been the same since Fairy Creek.
Yeah.
Shit. Life has been weird ever since. Life is it's the way that I'm in this system and I pay these people to come out here unknowingly to the information, or unknowingly willing to learn the information of nature, for them to come out and tell me who's right or wrong and forcefully try to take us away. And I'm funding the nation that's doing that.
Yeah.
And
at the time I was on EI, so they were funding me to be there, and they actually didn't want me there.
Yeah.
Weird thing going on.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry to break your flow.
No, it's just so everly confusing. And I guess all I can do is be empathetic and be like, yeah, everyone knows what they know. And who am I to know or think I'm in any sort of right? At the end of the day, like I said, you can only lead by example, and whoever is right, whatever is the right idea will come through in
Hopefully.
fruition over thousands of years.
Sure.
If it takes every old growth, all the trees to die and all the people to die, what idea will live when and if some of the people live? They will look back and know that, no, we don't destroy trees. We need every single one.
Ugh,
and that's the idea that lasts,
Yeah.
rather than let's do what they did before and we'd kill those people. Like, they don't exist anymore. We don't, those ideas have come and gone. Those destructive ideas. They just live, or they don't. And all we can do is lead by example and live our best ideas.
We'll never know what's the right thing to do, and that's why I don't quite worry about it. I just, open myself, stay open to like what's happening in the world around me. And then I just, we're doing the best with what we have, I think. To say to someone who steps forward and say their idea is right, like I'm open to hearing it, but I'm not going to be gullible, because I know that there's power in like changing the way we think. And so some people just step into it for the sake of stepping into it, right? Trying to commandeer our thoughts for the sake of it.
For their own control, or for different reasons.
Totally.
Man, in younger times, or in times where this is almost like a theoretical idea, but say at a bar, someone's just attracted to someone and you can see it, and then they approach you and assert dominance and ideas over your ideas. Let's just say they say, I don't think you're right, and then they dominate your idea in front of the person in fear that you're a threat of mating with that person, or that they would try to impress that person and like make something up. That almost seems like this has happened, and that's where I know, but it almost seems like it's fantasy saying it again. Like, I feel like that doesn't even happen, but I'm sure it does still.
Yeah, well, it's hard to see it when it's so analyzed, but it happens so quickly, so naturally that there's a normalization with us trying to control each other, like socially. Even the way we like if you're like overly conscious on like how you dress, it's a really strong form of manipulation. Like for instance, like if you dress because you feel a certain way, but if you start to dress thinking like people treat me different when I dress a certain way, then it's like the act of manipulating is like, it's just so fucking subtle, and then the spectrum is like so huge, right?
You ever think you're a narcissist?
Maybe, I don't know. I guess I don't think of it. I guess.
Man, when I hear narcissistic tendencies,
oh god, I think that's
so wild, because I can imagine it from a chart. I really hope I'm not narcissistic, and everybody is in their own way, unless you're entirely not, and then which you must have no feelings at all or no ego at all.
So I've heard narcissistic as like a very toxic, like mental like illness almost. But what is it to you?
Dude, we've been talking about someone who's a little bit narcissistic.
Gotcha. Oh yeah.
Makes ideas and portrays their ideas as their own, and will manipulate others into thinking their ideas to create their own realities. And that's not being empathetic of others, and that's not caring or giving them time, sharing. And that can be within conscious waking moments, sharing conscious waking moments and letting someone talk can be empathetic. It's the opposite of being narcissistic. It's, so for a lot of people out there, by the way, just like shut the fuck up and listen. Don't try to talk so much. I know you have a lot to say, and being in this ever expanding universe is a lot.
Yeah, I guess
it's coming from the guy who has the podcast.
Yeah, there's like a truth. Like, I like to be heard. If that's narcissistic, I don't know if that is.
So I would think of it as scales of 0 to 5 or 1 to 5. And then narcissistic is like likes being heard so much that they will continue and continue and continue. And maybe I'm a 3 out of 5, but it gets so extreme that they will create events to make you talk about them. And if you're not talking about them, then they will start to speak. Until narcissism, there's many different aspects of how it can.
Do you think I'm narcissistic? I know
You?
Yeah. Be honest.
No.
And flat out, no. Not even on the spectrum at all.
With the spectrum that exists, that I believe we're all on it, I think it has to exist. I think some narcissism has to. And I think we need an understanding of our own ego. And
that sounds right to me.
No, I don't think you're narcissistic. I haven't spent that much time with you.
Yeah.
Other than in passing and in work at Fairy Creek, which is a totally different environment than this day-to-day and week-by-week thing.
Yeah, I'd also say that the people I know at Fairy Creek, you know, I grew closer to people there in days than I did with people in city life. And through that experience, I realized that, you know, relationships are born through experiences. And in city life, you could live with each other, like be in the same city with each other for years. And do you have friends you see maybe like once a month or even once every year, and like that kind of relationship? So that kind of relationship, who knows how long before you get anything real out of them. But at Fairy Creek, we were being challenged like the way we were talking about earlier, and being put into hard situations. And so I feel like, although I've known you very little, I feel like a kindredness with you, because I don't think we wouldn't have stuck around or liking each other's presence through such shit, through such hardship, if there wasn't some type of like kindredness on many layers of our being. And we got to experience the many layers just because of the conditions of the environment challenged many layers of our being. Yeah.
Yeah, within those environments. And I get nervous when I need to speak of people indefinitely, or in even, maybe depend, like it's complimenting others. But within the time we were together, you're great blood, man. Great work ethic.
I know, man. I
Effort
feel the same
and
with you.
Strength and love. And love is created with time spent. And you make jokes. And you were funny.
Yeah.
You were somehow spirited among, dude, we'd be up till all night.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Still have the ambition to laugh about shit. And that was crazy.
Yeah,
cool.
it's wild. Yeah, I know. And I'm sure you had that experience with so many people out there. That's why I miss those fucking humans so much.
So, in asking if you're narcissistic, there's people on the planet, maybe two that I can think of, that I can feel are black hole vortexes of narcissism, or some parts of it, whether it's sensuality needing to be touched, or it's attention and needing to be heard, or affirmations, or sensitivities and not being reliant on other people's sensitivities, or not being empathetic to other people's sensitivities. You're definitely not that. It's not a burden. It is a burden. I would say someone that is narcissistic when it's a burden and it is a black hole on one of the elements or more that bring negativity, or how would I say, oh my God, I still have this beautiful tattoo idea or this image idea in my mind of two magnets that approach each other, and as they approach, they don't diminish and magnetize towards each other. They push their magnetic vibrations further, twice as far as they could be by themselves. Okay. So as they are away from each other, they are the same circle. And as they approach, these are people who work together, or these are people who help build you or help grow you. And then there are other people who are vacuums of energy, and they when they come together, they don't make two candle power. Two candles don't make two candle power. It makes somehow less than two candle power. Yeah. It makes one candle power, or as opposed to three candle power. Or the idea of, if me and you did firewood, two people doing firewood is not twice as fast, but it's like 3 times as fast. It just is.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the shit.
Yeah, it's like there's something there about finding. A word I've been kind of settling with a lot lately is my pack. I've been trying to find a word that's something representing relationships I want that are they they supersede friends and family and these constructs of those ideas. And it's I think about this when I think about the kind of relationships I want in my life. I want them to not be constrained with like these ideas of relationships. So I've been using this word like my pack. Like I tell people like, you know, you're welcome. Like you're in my pack to me. I got your back. I will think about you. I want you to like be successful, but you know you don't need to be here. Like you can venture off, but like yeah, you're in my pack. And I think when we got those people around, then that's magic. And I was talking about like villages and communal living. I think it's powerful when you have the right people coming together. A lot of incredible things can happen. And but anybody can find their pack, I think. I think anybody, for instance, I just had this experience with somebody who is a friend met them at an event, and their response was like, I think I just met one of my favorite people, and they're just so joyful, and they brought people together. So they decided to spontaneously go on a weekend trip over this last long weekend to Seattle. And the first night they realized they made a horrible mistake, that this very wonderful, boisterous, social person was great in social environments, but on a road trip where there's a lot of other things you gotta do, they were just a fucking mess. And that they were kind of like petty and weird and like blamey. And going down this road, my friend told me that this person just has this partner that just feeds them money and like doesn't care if they're around all the time. So like this extroverted, like hyper extroverted person who just didn't care about money, things like that. And so what that says to me is like somehow this hyper extroverted person has found a partner that person was so toxic to my friend, but does something to their partner that they need, that feeds them in some way, that they have this symbiotic relationship. And so they both can function now. Whether it's healthy or not, I don't know. But they're doing something. And so that kind of like example kind of makes me think about that the pack, like the people that can roll in my pack are just a certain type of people. And that when I find them, I got to tell them. And I got to be real with them. And I got to look them in the eye. And I got to tell them I appreciate them. And I love them. And I care about them. And I got to act that way because they're kind of rare. You know, and that there's all kinds of people out there. And like, everybody has their own, and we can't fit into all of each other's. So, yeah.
I think I really like the word pack, and
yeah, man.
I don't know if it's unreasonable to say that the world should see that they're a part of a pack.
Totally, yeah.
That's how I want to roll, because
Me too,
I think there's this weird contradictory of bringing up, well, these people are a part of my pack. And you're like, so you're not, creates this separation, yeah. And it's fucked. And but then it raises the question. So say your pack is the world. I'm not down with like. I'm not down right now with Al Qaeda. I'm not down with like I'm in saying my pack is the world. It's not. It can't be. Yeah. That might be unreasonable of me to say. I've no benefit, or I'm not gaining, and I don't think the Inuit people far north think I'm a part of their pack. Yeah. And me having that mindset may actually be unreasonable. This is me dissecting this right now.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, the pack. And the only reason I want to say this is because the fear of, I need things and you don't, we really got helped with an education of, or it was just led by example, like just give everything at Fairy Creek. Just give more, and then so much shows up to you. Like so much, I ended up with everything I gave and more. Yeah, which was sick. Mm-hmm. So people in your pack are people who understand that idea. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming, because maybe we have similar pack-like minds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of your pack, dude.
Oh, dang. That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool if I'm in it or not, you know.
You're such like a lone wolf.
What?
You're such a lone wolf.
Yeah, I have a really hard time with commitment to all things.
Boom. Sorry, ladies.
Dude, for real right now.
The word pack is something like what it means to you and what it means to me is different. It's a word like I have this ambition in life to hold people in it in such a way. And it's so fucking hard to talk about it because there's no word for what I feel in the human language. I use the word friend and they think we're just friends. And I use the word family and they're like, well, why are you talking to me like that? Like, I want to sleep with you. Like, don't call me your fucking family, you weirdo. And it's like, there's no word for what I want, the relationships I want in my life. And this is a word I'm experimenting with. Like, I want people around me to know like that I'm here, that I'm really here. And whether you're in my pack, that sounds so dramatic. That sounds like a barrier, right? Like you're in or out. But it's more just like
Don't
a
let
pack
me say
animal.
it like that, dude. No, because you can still have friends and family around that stuff.
To me, it's like an energy.
Co-workers, etc. But then there's a pack, which you're describing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe, I don't know, man.
Come to your mind.
Pardon?
Ah, fuck. Never mind.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand your mind.
Gotcha.
But in my mind right now, when I was trying to have empathy for what you say is pack, people shoot to my mind.
Gotcha.
They're of such respect and strength. There's of such love and admiration. The few people that came to my mind instantly, and they weren't my family.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like people probably who are this type of relationship that I'm just choosing to use the label, like the word I should say, pack. I don't even know it.
Sad they're not my family.
You know, is it? I think that's part of the thing I'm letting go of, though. Like these people, like they are in essence like just your family. You share a lot of like genetics and stuff like that, but ultimately, you know, you and your lover will start to share like microbiomes and like microscopic elements of each other, and you share like body fluids, and that's not just like nothing. Like that actually like stays with us and things like that.
Yeah.
So to me, part of letting go of all concepts of relationships in order to embrace people and like fully embrace the person that's in front of me, not the idea of what our relationship is or could be, is one of the boxes to let go of my life is let go of family, see my family for who they are. And that was part of the process of one of the aftermaths of that process was realizing that I'm with certain people, like my family members, just because they're family, even though they are unhealthy. There's some reason I'm sticking it out with them. Oh, it's because there's this idea in my head that they're family, therefore I should always be there for them. But if I can take those rose-colored glasses off and just see them as people, then I'm in a better understanding of where my life is right now. And from my experience, it's been really healthy. So
Sick.
yeah.
Hey, rose-colored cell phone. What's that about?
Oh, it's I think it must be like 7 or 8 or something. Then
Oh, it changes?
it's a blue light filter.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm talking about his phone. It's filming us. Check this
Should we
out
take a
on
break?
YouTube. We should just probably wrap it up.
Oh, okay.
Although there's
I feel like there's so much I want to talk to you about.
okay. Quick bathroom break.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, sweet.
Chicka yeah. Okay, so to resync, you want to do something like this.
And we're back.
Boom.
We decided.
Wow, this chair is so much better.
Yeah, it's important to switch spaces. So if you're on a date, or if you're sitting in class, or if you have the opportunity with anybody that you're sitting across from on a bench, just fucking change spots. Takes 5, depending on the scenario you're in, takes 5 seconds, and you get a whole other outlook. Doesn't this feel
so
different?
true? Yeah, it really does.
Something's happening. I like
It's
this
fresh.
side.
Yeah, you like this side of me? I've seen a whole new side of you.
Yeah,
guys.
I feel like that other side was just the negative side of me. I think this conversation is going to get a lot more positive from here on out. Modi.
There's a couple things I'd like to talk to you about. One, just mentioning. Do you know the show Hot Ones, where you eat like 10, where the guests? It's an
Yes,
interview
sir.
show. Yeah. So you can buy those. You can buy a season of their hot sauces. And so it comes in the box of like 10 different hot sauces. And this is a little bit reminiscent of my roommate who has this. They were new, maybe 3 weeks in the house. They lined up 10 chicken wings for themselves and 10 chicken wings for me. And we're just going to eat them and just take the hit. But I thought, no, let's ask each other questions too. So I brought up, there's a list that came out a few years ago of like, I think it's like 36 questions to ask. And if you ask the people this and like look into each other's eyes and be with them like we are, then you'll fall in love by the end of it. So we pull up this list of questions. It's just a jumping off point. And we just like pick randomly from this list. We eat these 10 wings. We ask each other these questions. And it was such a beautiful way to get to know this person. Not only just the questions, but yeah, we were like going through an experience of like eating this hot sauce that was number, I think 9 made me hallucinate for like a little bit.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so we went through something, we got to know each other, and you know, there's not too many times in society where we're just like sitting down and just we're taking the space just to get to know each other, you know? So this is just reminding me of that. We're sitting down, taking this time, and getting the space to do so.
I wouldn't want to do this with someone that I didn't find like nice or inspiring or affirmative. I am confused sometimes when I'm doing a podcast and I think, do I even care about this person? Could I just not have this conversation with them? It just gives you something great to do. But like you said, when you left and we're just in the hall and it feels like we're in a matrix, it's so crazy what comes out with every single person I podcast.
Yeah.
Once we talk for an hour to an hour and a half, it is bonkers what comes out.
Yeah, right.
And humans need something to be doing to get there. Hikes for up to 4 hours.
Sure.
You know, unreal way to, you're just walking and for some reason, as long as, you like the person or attracted to the person in any sort of way, you end up in a conversation that is like, you really feel for them more or you learn a lot about them. Hey, did you eat all 10 sauces?
I did.
So that means like a lot of celebrities in that situation, that show, they can't eat.
I actually think a really high percentage of them make it to the end, just not gracefully. I wasn't gracefully. I was like, I said number 9. I was like, really, I swear for like 10 seconds, I was like in another world.
Did you listen to music?
No, we didn't.
Dude, at Ridge Camp, there was ghost chili sauce.
Oof.
Ghost chili crushed peppers. So it looks like crushed wet red peppers.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. And we just made a pasta dish. Dude, every bit of food is so important. It took propane. People hiked the propane up.
Yeah.
Or, I'm pretty sure that's the only way we'd make food. Or fire. Yeah, fire. Took firewood. We'd cut the firewood. Took pans. People hiked up. Took water. People hiked up.
Yeah.
Gathered at some point, although there's creeks there and things too. So,
but at Ridge there wasn't. At Ridge it was all hiked up.
Yeah. Walk down, get water, walk it back up.
Yep.
So made a pasta dish, and then I am one for hot sauces. I'm one for hot sauces, and I want to put hot sauce on my fucking food. And dude, I'm a badass. I'm up on the top of a mountain, and I'm a great person. So like, why don't I just like put a little more than usual? And dude, which means
just sharing.
Fucking shit all. If it's red crushed chilies, for some people that's a lot, like my parents or people in the white areas of the world, I would say, in general, compared to Asian countries. But turns out it was fucking ghost chilies. I did not know that.
Ooh.
Dude, just a fucking flake of it is a nice spice for someone.
Gotcha.
I'm like mixed in with my pasta, let's call it macaroni and cheese, I think it was, which was amazing, but it was very short-lived. It was like red chilies everywhere. It was a mix of red chili and mac and cheese, but it was ghost chilies. And
is death and is like mac and cheese is death and cheese, or
so the only thing that kept the heat down because it was so hot, but I was affirmed in my mind that I could handle it.
yeah.
And I was so hungry that I was eating it fast, eating it fast, like every mouthful would cool the burn, but it also added more to it after. So then I would eat more.
Wow.
And then, I just start going through this insane reaction where I'm my intestines hurt so fucking much.
No shit.
And in my mouth, and the whole body's reacting, panicking. I lay, if I can figure it out how to show you, but like I just get onto the ground and I'm just like this. Like I'm a fat hot mess on the ground and just like leaning against a log or a stick. In so much pain, started hallucinating.
Oh shit!
Like I was, I had been stabbed in World War One.
What?
It was fucked.
Wow, visceral.
Yeah. And I was in so much pain that I thought about these soldiers or about me, and needing to get this thing out of me, and it was a mix between I had been stabbed / there was gunpowder in me, or I had been shot and I need to cut myself open.
Whoa. And
this is all happening. I'm just at fucking the calmest old fucking rainforest in the world. Más o menos, like sorta. And anyway, that was the craziest chili experience of my life. And I just wanted to bring it. When you said you were tripping, I guarantee you were, man. It was fucked.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, just like aren't any psychedelic or like any drug is just, a substance that our body, we get too much of and it has an effect. They say that poison's in the dose, right? So you get too much of something and it'll have just a drastic effect on the body no matter what it is, right? And I bet you even if it is something, toxic, I'm pretty sure like psychedelic mushrooms are toxic to the body, but yeah, you just do enough so it doesn't kill you, and then you're gonna get interesting experience basically. Same with these peppers.
Those things are crazy. And coffee's supposed to be a psychedelic, and what else am I thinking of right away? Eat too much salt, you'll fucking die. You eat like a pound of it.
Oh yeah,
you'll just fucking die. Hey, I wanted to ask you about is there any details you can give on what healing your wife went through with this teacher? Like,
sure.
Just when you were talking about this teacher teaching,
I
thought about what is it that they taught?
Yeah.
Or what are these practices, and like, how can I avoid whatever your wife had?
Sure. Yeah, my wife's well, what we found out through the work is like it was basically traumas that had manifested throughout her life that were starting to be so pervasive like in our body that they start to manifest physically, and so it manifested in her stomach, and her stomach stopped retaining nutrients. And I remember there was this one blood test she did, and it came back that she was starving. Like, a young 25-year-old person in the middle of Canada, like Vancouver, prosperous hell, was starving, And so what happens when you starve is like everything starts to shut down. And when the health of your stomach starts to go, a lot of chemicals that your brain needs are produced in your stomach. So her mind was going. So she was starting to get these like mental illnesses too, and eventually developed these like really intense violent panic attacks.
Yeah, you're dying.
Yeah, totally. Like it was the hardest time of my life. And yeah, it was a miracle that she found this woman named Mata. And it was really an interesting experience because my wife, her family is of Western doctors, and so it took me forever just to get her to see a naturopath. And then all of a sudden she comes to me and says, hey, I want to take this workshop by this woman, someone she respected, recommended to her. And it looked very foreign, it was expensive. And since she stopped working, like I was providing, and we didn't have a lot of money then. And, everything over $100 we basically talked about spending. And this workshop was like $500. And it was so out of character for her to want this. And she was so enthusiastic about it, I just couldn't say no. I didn't look like anything to me. It just looked like kind of like a workshop of meditating that, it's like whatever. And Yeah, it's a nice story. I don't know how much of it you want to hear, but
Parts of it you would tell your kids.
well, okay. I feel like I'm just being conscious of like maybe I'm going to talk too long about it, but it's one of the great stories of my life. That's why I don't. I could just tell you what the practice was, but like
As much as you want.
Sure. Okay, buddy. Thank you. So anyway, she signs up for this workshop, and the first day she comes back from it's a Saturday Sunday thing. I pick her up from Saturday. She goes to me, Brandon, I think this is a cult. And I'm like, well, okay. And we had been like listening to podcasts on cults and stuff, so we kind of talked about like, why do you think that? And she went back on Sunday and she's with an attitude of, you know what, I'm just going to like just give it my all. I paid my money. I'm just going to like open up to it and see what happens. And she came back that day like a different fucking human. And she woke up on Monday, and from my judgment, seeing her, being the one that was with her day in, day out for a year as she was like digressing, you know, into towards like fucking death. I would say on Monday, like 70% of her illness was gone, more or less. And then she started working within a week. She started dropping her medication.
What was it?
Yeah. That did it, yeah.
What's the cult?
Yeah. Well, I realized she thought it was a cult because they were talking about things that she had my wife had never interacted with before, talking about spirit, energy, and really our relation to our trauma that is stored in our body. And so what the practice is Mata Dalian is the teacher, and she's created this method of, it's just like a follow along meditation. It's not wild at all, but it's like a system that she very particularly will either guide people through, or you can buy the recording and will guide yourself through of finding trauma in your body, using a lot of your breath, and developing your perception, developing your sensitivity to what you feel, and you just working it out through like, ultimately, through the practice, you connect to that inner wisdom, open up the trauma, you find where it is in your body, you open it up, connect to your inner wisdom, it then heals it. And what that would look like is that would make sense of why it happened. It could be something like, the trauma could be, you could like, if you could breathe and like say hypothetically you breathe and you feel a pain in your stomach, and if you breathe into that as if your breath is coming from it, these words just might float into your head. And I was talking about this earlier about how like our wisdom is connected to our brain, like our deep inner wisdom, the cosmic wisdom is connected to our brain, so it can give us words. And so you could breathe out your stomach and breathe out the pain, and it could say something like, I hate my parents. Or it could say whatever it says, whatever the trauma is. And then through the system of working through your body and using breath, working through your body, you can then eventually tap into your inner wisdom that might say something back to you like, yeah, they didn't give me all I needed. They did, maybe you would say they did their best, and they have the exact same pain that I have, so they were never the ones to ever give me what I needed. They never could. And then hopefully through this process, you can find some type of like the truth to the situation, that the truth could be, in this just complete hypothetical scenario, could be, they still did put a roof over my head and showed up for me to make sure I was safe. So thank you for them. And so that's like an example of how a process of healing trauma using your breath, using your own inner wisdom can look like. And yeah, the Dalian method is just the practice of guiding you through that. And Mata Dalian is, that's her work, and like all the tricky things that will get you hung up and be able to go through that process that I just described, such as your own bullshit, your own inability to look within, your own untrusting of the voices that are speaking to you, your judging of them. She also does help like call you out on it. She'll call you out like, you know what you need, you know it. And she'll see right through you because she's just been through it. She's a master. She's gone through all of it herself, and she's done all her own inner work. So she's a living master, which I feel is a concept a lot of people in our modern society we just don't fucking get. that we look through learning through books and through like recordings and stuff, but we don't have someone like standing in front of us, looking at us, telling us what we need to hear in our context. And so through knowing Mata, I know like the value of a living master. Anyway, so yeah, when that was happening, Rihanna continued the practice. She bought the recording, which was totally affordable. It's not crazy. And she just started, part of her routine was doing this dialing method. And so she eventually got healthier and healthier and healthier. She shed and what it actually looks like is that you connect. It looks like you gain wisdom, but the truth is you unblock yourself from receiving the wisdom you already had, you always had. And so when I saw this miracle happening before my eyes, I started doing the practice too. And yeah, for about, I think, a year, that's what our life was. Like it saved us. And yeah, at some point, like I mentioned, in our evolution, we realized that there's stuff we had between each other that was really unhealthy, and it was because of the ideas of our relationship we had. Like we had what love looks like was taught to us. And so I realized that I needed to unlearn that. And so I couldn't do that while staying with her. So we separated. And yeah, and then my journey has been, I still do the Dali Method. I still love those communities and the community of the Dali Method community. And I miss Mata. I wish I could work with her. Her like workshops do cost money, which I just haven't really been one to hold on to lately. But definitely I feel like I'm so grateful that I've met her. Because not only did it heal my best friend, but she taught me how to free myself. That's how I think of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was a really nice story. I'm glad your wife got better. And
thank you. We're divorced now.
Yeah, I'm glad the ex-wife got better, the good friend, and that knowledge got to surface and come to us. And I remember being from a smaller town, not feeling strongly about spirituality or any understanding of it at all.
Exactly, yeah.
From my parents, barely know anything about it too. And what does it mean? Like, what are energy? Something. There's something out there. It's called energy.
Just energy.
Some sort of energy. And there's some sort of idea of what it is and whatever that is that you have about it. It's like why you like music or why you like a certain song. Some energy like that. It's fucking crazy and it's great.
Yeah.
And comfort, and you deserve it. And like you said, and
thanks for listening, by the way.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
It was reassuring. I really wanted to know what went on. I had heard something like this before of people tapping into spirituality or people tapping into a recent story, womb pain from an abortion, which haunted the person, which created insanely painful periods, which tapping into the spots helped bring up the ideas. And when it, for example, I wish I could run further or, God, no, I don't know. But you're exactly right in the way you described it. And the way that she described it and was trying to share with me is when they tapped her, it came up that her uncle had done something to her in the past.
Yeah.
Say this is made up, like, don't get me totally wrong, friend who I am quoting. But you might think that's crazy initially, but listen to it and don't be in denial of your thoughts. You're okay to think about what's happened to you in the past, or if it's reoccurring, or if it's a sensitive spot in your body you've never touched and it brings up an idea of anything. Follow that course and don't deny. You know what I mean? I'm kind of reassuring people on, I don't know why
trusting themselves,
I've gone
trusting
through
their
this
feelings
or something, but trusting in the your body and mind are connected, and your body is how your mind talks to you is how your body is feeling. And when you exercise and you're worked out, your mind usually talks to you friendlier with a lot less anxiety. It's a direct example.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great, way to sum it up.
Yeah. So when you touch your body, it can bring thoughts to you. Holy shit. Sexual activity with people? And traumas with sexuality?
Yeah.
Man, be understanding.
Yeah.
Speak up. And in speaking up your own mind as well, say it's something your uncle did to you, or it's some way someone touches you and it comes to your mind, it's not invalid and it's not weird. It's so real. And if you bring it out and you make voice of it, some people can maybe help you through it. Potentially the partner that's in bed with you, or you can hear yourself and listen to, if you want to do the work on that situation. You're just like having sex. Someone touches near your crotch in a certain way. It reminds you of your uncle.
That's
nothing against your uncle, and you just want to say, my uncle. And then it
that unfortunately happens.
Makes for open honesty, and I think actually would probably come across well. Why did you say my uncle? Well, the way you touched me, I don't know why it brought up. I have nothing to do with it. Perfect, let's go. Keep touching me there. Keep touching me there. Anything else you wanted to talk to me about before the bathroom break there?
Yeah, totally.
I had two things, but I remembered the one. I can't remember the second thing.
I'm just curious where you're at. I feel like I've told you a lot about my life and where I'm at.
The way I sum up where I'm at is
what you creating right now, or what are you not creating, or what's going on in that galaxy over there.
One big part of where I'm at, and the sum of figuring out who I am, like my own ego and what the hell I've been going through. I tried to make a swing of things in Mexico with a low amount of money, so like potentially rushing a project, and that project was some independent music creation and a good life in an area that is super habitable or super easy to live in, which then creates perfect free environments for fruit to grow and to do free exercise on the beach, and to be temperate and not need a lot of clothing. Then having extra time to write music and work on projects. That not working out, putting me into a funk. I got into a place where I was just reasonably broke. I forgot that I have a thing there I could sell. I should sell to someone who wants it.
Beauty. Pass it on.
Yeah, $500 would go a long way, but then it would be gone. Anyway, making me call it a month early, to then arriving to, my parents, and how lucky am I to have parents that can actually have me or I'm friends with. Fuck yes. Fuck yeah. And
thanks, Mom.
Mom and Dad. Where it seems like it's a downside, but I just needed to change something up. So I got back to my dad's. Man, I was with a girl who you know.
I know?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't tell me?
No.
Really?
Some other time.
Not on air?
Yeah. Right now.
Dang.
It's not important. Look it up.
Google it.
Ask ChatGPT. They'll know everything about it. ChatGPT is a service that scans the internet for information, and when you ask it questions, it prompts it nearly instantly, and it's what people are talking about with AI these days in 2023. But anyway, that was an intertangled thing, but I don't think I'm looking for any sort of girlfriend until I'm 35, and that's been my motto for about 7 years. I kind of freely explore people. I'm free to be friends, and for a long time. And for forever. I don't want to burn bridges, and I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I don't want to invest in a monogamous companion, potentially even ever, because when I think about it, I would want them to be free forever.
Sure.
And I would never want that limitation on them.
Sure.
Though there's confusion with whose baby is this. you've been sleeping with all these people. Like, if that's even a bother, with it kind of is, and it's confusing, whatever. I wouldn't want to raise someone else's child, maybe as a fear that people have.
Well, this is a deep cut.
Going from relationships,
I think you're overthinking.
I've got that solved, and I just
you got it solved. You're much more of an intellectual than I thought you were, right? You just think about things way too much.
Yeah,
man.
it runs in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the boys, we think a lot.
Yeah, guys do it a lot.
Perfectionism.
You know, women are just more naturally connected to spirit, but also like the powers, like feminine, like the feminine power, which we all have in us, not women, but they're just more connected to it, are like the power of surrender and the power of perceiving all things at all the time. And a masculine power is to focus, to hone in, to see only one thing. And if either of these things are out of balance, if we don't have them both, the masculine and the feminine, then both of those perspectives are harming, toxic. Yeah. So we need within each individual of us to grow our feminine and masculine powers. But this is just like kind of something that it speaks to me. Like, yeah, a lot of men think this way, think intellectually, and it's also part of our culture. Like, this Western culture is so distant from spirit and like checking in and like trusting and feeling and perceiving and all of the feminine like powers really, but definitely a relationship with spirit, I'd say.
Is it so comforting? Why is it so comforting? Is it just because of what we were taught? Like, I can definitely say it comes from my dad.
Ironically, how comfortable is it to live in your head and to constantly have that lawnmower running? So it seems like a safety in a way.
Some sort of, in the intellectualism that I admire, when you can speak in depth and converse to people of what is in your mind to create good storytelling images, or for me to tell you exactly how to unplug or change the hours and minutes on that clock when you enter this room and where the light is, and all the informative, like, tons of thought.
Sure.
Thoughtfulness to create very informative sentences to project to people. I admire that for growth in some sort of bullshit stuff. Like, I don't know, the wiring circuits in these Pioneer mixers that people DJ with now, they would be...
Dude, it's great what our minds have created. It's great. Like, technology is great. But what's interesting is when we choose to only perceive the life through that one of our faculties. Like, our intelligence is one of the things, that one of our powers. But when we've developed our lives and in extension our society around that one perception, then it's, to me, like, it seems like weird. And people like all the time I hear like kind of similar that people will talk themselves into whatever they want to think, or they'll just talk themselves into circles. Like, you can argue, for instance, like a lot of people who like I interact with who kind of I feel overthink their lives are like these kind of like entrepreneurial grind culture kind of people where they like, it's like, for instance, it's like they're looking for like the perfect morning routine, you know, wake up at 5, this or that, you know, that kind of thing. And they kind of, the folks I know anyway, kind of experiment with like waking up at 5, just sleeping as much as they need, or waking up and doing this kind of a diet, this kind of a workout, this, you know, they try all these things, but ultimately they can intellectualize why they should and shouldn't do any of it, like any one thing. And I feel like that's a lot what I see in people when they live their life through their just intellectual faculty, that they can really talk themselves into or out of doing anything. And it's because the ability for the mind to perceive is limited. It only has a certain depth of knowledge, while your all of your faculties of intelligence has a much deeper intelligence, basically.
Yeah.
So if we can use all of them, including our mind, our calculator, you know, the problem solver, the puzzle solver, in conjunction with like our connection to our deep inner wisdom and what other intelligence that, you know, I have no idea about too, you know, to me, I think that looks, that seems a lot more at peace than instead living a life of an engine running all the time, which to me seems like tiring as fuck.
Yeah, so I want to bring up the, I don't know, just an example of wanting to interact or date monogamously or care to date at 35 intellectual idea.
Yeah, it's a big old idea you got, eh?
Big old idea. Sure is. And then it's already been flawed. Like upon exit.
Because you're a wonderful human. I bet all kinds of people want your attention.
Upon exit
Just
of
like,
a
yeah,
relationship, that's where the idea that's where I project the idea as I make myself stable in a scenario where upon leaving a relationship in a way.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
and it just repeats itself.
Yeah,
and
totally.
during this, I do say, because how would it make me feel if I missed somebody, or if I shut down opportunities, or if I don't pursue love? Well, my defense in it, emotionally, for the connection of procreation, divine, and love, is you never know who's going to walk through the door, and your life can change in an instant.
Totally.
And I'm open to that.
It's like a Bradgelina thing, you know. Like he was with Jennifer Aniston, and then Angelina showed up, and he's like, "Wow,
Wow,
And
so much wow.
Then Bradgelina happened." Yeah, right.
So
That's what you.
I fucking love your idea of intellectual, and well, the only way I relate the other powers that be are just how you feel.
Yeah.
How do
right?
you feel without
Yeah.
shut the fuck up mind? How do you feel?
Yes.
Do you think you should get out of this hot tub? Oh man, there's these weird things.
Yeah.
Cold plunges.
Yeah.
Intellectual mind, not helping you.
Totally.
Physical mind. Wait, physical mind tuning into the physical projects ideas to the intellectual that you need to get the fuck out of this water. And then defying it is like defying both. It's fucked. To then, for what?
Well, like what we were talking about is just your senses, like your warning, like, hey, this is cold. If I stay in here too long, I'm gonna die. We might as well just get out. That's like, that's another faculty of your intelligence, but like, there's a deeper intelligence, like the one that's below that, that's deep. That's the one that will guide us, that will call to us.
And that one tells me not to date till I'm 35.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. And by date, dude, hold on. When I'm saying dating, I mean date in this culture monogamously.
Sure.
I'm definitely interacting with people as much as possible all the time because I love connecting with people. But when dating monogamously, I feel limited in.
But you want to,
meeting
though,
people.
right? You want to embrace people, right?
Yes, I want to embrace many
yeah.
people.
Gotcha. Yeah, like even in like something that from the outside may look like a monogamous relationship to an extent.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, what I've found in my own exploration is like I'll often think like, hey, should I go out to see these folks? I do and I don't. Ugh, this is a bad example. Never mind. What I'm getting at is like, usually like, usually what I find is like, our mind is very black or white because it's trying to dissect, it's trying to pull things apart to understand it by like slicing it into little bits. So it'll make a black or white, it'll make a yes or no out of things. But the truth is like, you want to be completely connected with people, and you have some calling to continue to learn about this world at the same time. And so what I would say from where I'm sitting, it looks like your work is to understand that conflict, that what's the word? Contradiction. That's your inner work, is to understand the contradiction, being someone who wants to be so loving and so embracing and so sexual, but then also just not really want to embrace the way our society has taught us we should be those ways. So your path is to explore it. What does it mean? What is that for you? Very similar to what I described when I left my wife. I had to relearn what love is because I realized I went on that monogamous path, and I realized it wasn't for me. It was taught to me.
Yes,
We
sir.
followed through, and it became an unhealthy relationship.
How the hell did I learn that it was not for me? Some other person who said it was not for her.
Yeah, some inspiration. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you know, like there's just on this note, a lot of people don't subscribe to monogamy anymore, you know? Even just as simple as like polyamorous people, you know, that's getting to be more and more common. And
simple.
well, I mean, it's not weird to meet like a polyamorous person, someone who can hold space for multiple lovers. And I think there's a bit of, there's a lot less attachment in those relationships. Not that there isn't less in, like commitment, but there's a lot less of the one of the unhealthy ideas of our modern monogamy is I need to know where, like, what we are, what we're doing. We need to have a plan kind of vibe.
Whew.
And yeah, exactly, right? And I think polyamorous relationships are a little bit more open to, like, we are just crossing paths right here, right now, until it doesn't make sense. And I think it's a natural thing to come to in polyamorous relationship, because we're not getting everything from, like, there's not one person getting everything they need from you. Because of a relationship where they're getting everything from you, they want to make sure they know it's going to be there when they need it. And I think that's a little bit of a subconscious, like, manifestation that's happening. But in polyamorous relationships, a little bit less of that, just inherently in the philosophy of the polyamory.
And dating itself is just changing as times change.
Totally.
Because dating at the time, when did monogamy become a thing? And there's like farm rulers and family names and keeping names in families to create wealth.
Totally. Totally.
Is an idea, and that's something definitely to bring in. And yeah, you can date and be and do anything you want. So anyway, creating a little bit of music, podcasts once in a while, constantly like strong or exercised, calm, cool being who lives and eats and enjoys.
Cool.
Mainly what I do,
Okay.
like as much as possible.
Do you got something on the horizon?
Just going to America and meeting a bunch of people and interacting with a new, young, bright female and respecting and seeing old friends and seeing artists that I am inspired by and seeing what they have worked on.
Yeah.
And sharing my music with the people that are going to that festival too. And
Sweet.
after that,
Set up your own little, like
tent.
tent. Just show up with a tent and make your own little event with
Might
your
be
music.
rolling with a car with a lady.
Fun.
Yeah. / maybe she's going to have a tent or I'm going to pick one up. I better confirm that. Assuming I'm going to be driving in the car with this person in my dreams, man. Don't assume everything.
Yeah.
Ask, hey, can I stay in the car with you?
Yeah. Can I
Please?
get a ride?
Please.
Please.
For sure, we're going to ride together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is sure you got a ride.
I hope. Or I don't have a way
Yeah.
there.
I mean, if she bought you
Going
a
together.
ticket, I'm sure she would give you a seat in the car.
Yes.
She can sit on your lap. Could be a suggestion.
As long as the fucking car stopped, man. That's dangerous. 60 miles an hour? No. 70 miles an hour? No. 100
Okay.
miles an hour? Yeah, so creating just a bit of music, fuck, dude, like not big things. One part of creating an entire life or creating family, creating an entire life that I see, and I've kind of maybe lowered my standards of what I do. And if I'm a person who creates music in the society and plays it and is just honest, hardworking, a nice guy, I think I'm doing good. I think I'm doing hopefully a large gift. Specifying on one thing, though, can be daunting and really
I'm grateful you're doing what you're doing, Galaxy.
really bad for a person, though, too. Hyper-focusing on only music or something like that.
Sure,
I've been in
sure.
these bad funks.
Sure.
Yeah, you got to do other things, too. And
Cool.
helping people physically
Yeah.
is what I like as well.
Brother, I'm grateful you're out there with an open heart. I think if there's a lot more people, at the very least, doing that, it'd be a much different world. So I'm grateful you're here.
Yeah, we're all
I
in
mean
the
it. Yeah.
same pack.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's great to reconnect.
Yeah, it is. Let's lock pinkies.
Okay, you want to pack this up?
Was that everything? I feel like there was one thing.
There's going to keep being more
I
things,
don't know.
too.
Yeah.
Living in a van.
You know, there's something I just wanted to. I had never told you that I wanted to tell you.
Girls, wife.
No,
You're...
something about Fairy Creek. I think I told you that
Inspiring.
That moment at 2000 I described to you is one of the things that
Shit was
stuck
fucked.
out.
It was cool.
Yeah, it's one of the things I remember most about about you. My goodness, it is just completely gone. I don't know if it's coming back at this time of this recording.
Oh God, Fairy Creek. There's so much that can be talked about with that. If there was anything that you like, a way you would walk, or a leading by, you got it? Got the thing?
You said this. I don't think this was a thing, but I do remember you said like you haven't been the same since, and the way I put it to myself, like I think like it radicalized me. I think it radicalized a lot of people. I think it was an opportunity for us and a lot of young people to step outside of our society, and then to look at society, look at the society we've been born into. But we could only see it as a thing that was created because we then were on the outside of it. You know?
Well, okay, so you're bringing up.
Yeah.
You might have remembered the idea, and the idea.
Well, you said like,
I've
hey,
changed.
Yeah, you changed since then. I think
shit's fucking weird.
Yeah, that's it. It shit's weird, and like I can't help but see that what people say to me is the world is not the world. It's actually just this world we've created because I've spent some time completely outside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And what was that last part you said on the sentence before? So you spent. That was way more simple how you said it.
Sure,
this
sure.
time.
Yeah.
This time the way you
just
said
that it
it.
radicalized me. That's how I see and I use the word radicalized just because I see our government as like a fucking
Group of people who profit.
Yeah.
Not one person.
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau has no power.
Yeah, it's a fucking system to funnel wealth and power, you know? And so that's why I feel like it's radicalizing, because it's like technically from the empire's point of view, it's like negative that like, you know, talking against it. But that anyway, what I was saying is that experience radicalized me. I think it radicalized a lot of young people to see similarly. And so I think I wanted to acknowledge that, yeah, that's real. That you're not the same from that. Like that's so real.
Yeah.
For so many on so many levels. Just even the experience of the trauma, this and that, but just witnessing. For me, I realized like this. I was witnessing the Canadian government in a way that has never been even told before, to me anyway. But it's out there.
I learned it, and I think I'm teaching people on my way, and I think they listen to me because of how I speak, because of it's inside of us. It's shaped us.
Yes, yeah.
And the way we walk is because of the experiences. And if you're a loving, macroeconomic thinking kind of person who is radicalized, you're on the side of people. And if you're on the side of people, people will back you in the way you're going to act. And I'm acting by the truth. Like I went to the wall where there are no lies, or like where the lies come out, or it's like there's an amplifier that speaks what you hear is truth, like a news source, and the fucking wave of the truth of what's going on and how this is all backed and who is in power. It's amplified. And then I walked up to the wall and I realized it's a fucking amplifier, and there's no way out of it. No, I don't know how to make this an analogy, but it was force fed when being at Fairy Creek, an education of a truth that is undeniable, and every footstep or every breath now is motivated by it a bit.
Yeah,
and it makes me the person I am, and it makes me. But I'm pro-human, so then humans may look or like it, or like the way I act, or what am I saying here? Changed. Donald Trump, 2024.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Hey, you also, if you need to go back, but I also noticed this necklace. Settle down. Okay, we're still here, and we're back. Panic attack. Just need a moment, everybody. And you pulled out this necklace you're wearing. You pulled it out at a certain point when we were talking, and I noticed it, and I wonder, what does it mean to you?
it was just created to me. It was created by me. Now that I've been able to wear it for people just listening, it's just a piece of, what's that? Beautiful cedar? Cedar. And then it's got a fern on it. It's just a piece of wood. It's got a fern on it. I didn't mind it. It was a gift, and a nice person gave it to me.
Cool.
But wearing it more now, I think it's so cool that I rep like a piece of wood rolling through the city.
Yeah.
And I think I got long hair, and I think I ride a skateboard, and I'm not from the city. And all the folks in clean dress wear and renting apartments and things, I just like lead by example, ride through the city, and just I don't know if I'm not better than anyone. I don't know. This thing doesn't mean that much to me, but it's cool. It was a gift. Makes me feel cared about. Makes me feel cared about.
It's like a what's it, not I want to say medallion, but okay, don't know what else to say, but a token. It's like a token of some other life, some other world.
It came to me in Mexico. It's a friendship. Yeah, we're in touch. Chalk it up on the list of beautiful ladies. Just kidding. Not actually.
Oh no.
All of them that exist in the world. Okay, we're packing this up, buddy.
Okay.
Let's get out of here. Let's go have some food. Mom, can we please have some food? Okay, thanks everybody.
Call Mom. Get the meatloaf in the oven.
Love your neighbors. Love your neighbors.